Well, there you all are, and welcome in to our program tonight, Awakening After the Watchtower. And we have a former Jehovah's Witness. His name is Eric, and he lives down in Tennessee, but he's originally from New England, right up here in Rhode Island. So the program, well, he's got a good program prepared tonight. So don't you go anywhere. I want you to listen to Eric. I know he's going to be very fascinating to you. He's got some really good information he'll be sharing with you. So let's bring Eric on right now. Let's add him to the platform. Hello, Eric.
Hello, how you doing, y'all? Sorry for the delay. Good to be here.
Well, that happens in real life, but you're here. We got a good sound now, so it all looks good. We got a lot of people coming in already, Eric. I see in the comments with lots of people already commenting. So they're looking forward to your program. So I'll step out of the scene. Give me about 5 minutes. I'll be back. I'll get those videos up for you. But just going to walk around a little bit. When you're sitting for like 6 hours, your legs are all tied up and tense. Just get up and loosen up a little bit. Okay, thank you, Eric.
All righty, Rick. Thank you. Well, hello, everyone. It's great to be here tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about self-projection. And I got the definition here for it. Most people, my audience is pretty smart. They know what it is, but just for the sake of having it, so it's fresh in our mind. The definition of self-projection is projection is the process of displaying one's feelings onto a different person, animal, or object. The term is most commonly used to describe defensive protection, attributing one's own unacceptable urges to another. And the reason why we're talking about self-projection tonight is that I'm noticing it in the governing body more than ever. It's become a pattern, and I've seen it for maybe the last few years, but it's just a pattern that I keep seeing. And later, when Rick gets a break, he'll play a video for us, and it's going to show. I think the guy's name is. He already played some of the clip tonight, a short clip from it. Mine's about 2 minutes long, but it's Anthony Griffin, the brother who gave the talk, The Refreshing Way. He's no brother of mine. The Refreshing Way Jehovah Deals with Us, based on Deuteronomy 32, verse 2, whatever that means. But he starts off in this talk, and it's hypocritical as well as them self-projecting, because he's telling you that talking about stripping a person of their dignity and respect and how it's devastating to people. Does anybody here, can anybody here think of any situation where Watchtower doesn't do that to us or to its members? Doesn't it seem like that they are stripping everyone, not just the dignity, but they're even stripping the headship from the head of the house, you know? Like when we all saw that leaked video of what was it, Circuit Overseer's video, and basically the elder got removed being an elder for what was it, his daughter going to college. So I mean, we're totally controlled. And you mean to tell me that that's not stripping a person of their dignity? The whole congregation had a problem with it, supposedly, in this dramatization in this elders meeting that they had. And it's just it's gotten me to the point where this self-projection, just every time they talk like this, it's actually what they're guilty of. And I don't know if the witnesses have gone mad, lost their mind, but the governing body especially, but they are making really bad decisions, and this is affecting everything that they are doing. Every decision that they make. Recently, they've changed their mind about medical advice, and we'll get to that. That's a separate video. We're going to have a second video. They're both only like 2 minutes long, so don't go running for the hills. It's just enough to get the gist of what they're saying. Excuse me. Let's see where else we have. Oh, also, when they're talking about stripping a person of their dignity. When we get to that video, we're gonna also see how much they're really pushing an agenda, and it's almost like they're constantly covering their tracks. It doesn't even feel like anything. It doesn't feel like anything is biblical anymore. Between me keeping on a little bit on top of the Watchtower, not totally. It's hard to read that. Elaine from Surviving Paradise, is that the name of her channel? I watch her take on it, and Mark Martin's take on it, because I have a hard time just reading that loaded garbage. I don't know about you guys. It's hard to watch this stuff, but it's material for the show, so take one for the team. But I wouldn't bore you guys with a long video, just enough to get the gist of what they're getting at. But anyways, I'm repeating myself. I think that the governing body are making such bad decisions that they let me go back to backpedal a little bit. Rick was talking about what was going on in South Africa, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think he said it was from Reddit. I read something from Reddit as well, that Desiree got a hold of me, and I wish I had it in front of me. I don't. It's just a short little story and it was about the circuit overseer as well. And what we got from it was the circuit overseer was also getting mad at the people because they were bleeding out numbers, and he admitted to them that they were short 7,000 people, I think was the number, and he said that they wanted nothing to do with the organization anymore. And after he came down, this is a PMO ministerial servant on the Reddit forum, supposedly, allegedly. But they were saying that after this had happened, there were several PMEs, physically and mentally, and that stopped really going to the meetings and were just showing up to give parts. I'm sorry, everyone, I got a dry throat. Basically, it's getting to the point now where the governing body are just covering their tracks, and it's almost in that same Reddit post. She said that what's happening in Africa basically is that their numbers as well, they have shrunk so much that they have gone back to what did she say, or he or she 2002. It's really bad. Their numbers have just completely plummeted. I didn't know if Rick knew that or not, but I don't know if it's a fact or not. But it's good news to hear, though, isn't it, everyone? It's great news to hear. I get excited too. I guess it is an adrenaline to hear it, because it's not just revenge or when you've been done so wrong. It's so much deeper than that. It's that your family's been done wrong. Even if they've been jerks to you, they're still hurting from Watchtower. My dad wants to be a pothead and just chill out have a day off. He's retired now, so he gets time off. Maybe he's not as cranky, but he was always on the move. He never stopped. It was 24/7 go, because he worked 6 days a week to provide for us kids, because we both had a bleeding disorder. And I know I repeat myself, but just to put it into perspective of how hard it is, like Rick talked about it tonight, you're exhausted. And my dad's an introvert, and he's got an extrovert all the time, and he never gets recharge your batteries. Like I said, he's retired now, but that's just one instance, and something that I noticed, and with one person. And I've noticed many things of how they'll touched by the tentacles of Watchtowers. Rick says, it really has touched a lot of people. It's given people cheaper lives. And when we watched the video earlier, it's disgusting how Anthony Griffin, I don't know who this guy is. It says he's a helper to the service committee, but Anthony Griffin and these other men, if you're a helper to the service committee, you're kind of, in my humble opinion, you're kind of not the greatest person. The service committee and the legal department are probably the most evil departments in Watchtower. And I don't have the clip for you guys, but there is a clip from Jeffrey Jackson and was it the Australian Royal Commission? I'm not sure, but somewhere, maybe in their JW.org. But he says that we're not an organization made up of lawyers, and couldn't that be furthest from the truth? I mean, doesn't it feel like that the lawyers are running the show here? It really does to me. I mean, when you think about it, they're constantly changing policies. They're burning books. They're keeping things from people. It feels like an organization run by lawyers, doesn't it? We have the proof that it kind of is. There was a video. I can't remember who put that out there on YouTube, but that the governing body, or no, this is a JW.org video, and they admit that they have like 120 or 30 people in their legal department. Why in the heck do you need that many people? You know, what an organization that's really pulled the wool over our eyes. And basically, I think right now, and a lot of people out there can agree, I'm not looking through rose-colored glasses, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm kind of new to the activism. I've been out for a long time, and I've been disfellowshipped twice. But I am new to doing the activism thing, and Rick isn't. He's been doing it for 19 years. But even me, this is my 1-year anniversary this Thanksgiving with Six Screens family, and I've been I've been an activist in different ways, like at the grocery and store and stuff, little acts for about a few years. But my point being is, I'm really seeing growth in our XJW community because I was on Reddit and other platforms first, and I'm seeing a lot of growth. And I hear new callers on Rick's show all the time. A year ago, I was a new caller. And now here I am talking to y'all. It's great to talk to you all. But anyways, moving on. There's someone on the phone. I hear a little noise in the background. Might be Rick. But anyways, with everything all the talks that I'm seeing, all of the reports on Reddit, it's amazing how they aren't growing. You know what? That's another thing I wanted to bring up. There's another really cool thing to go on, and I have to admit to the audience that I am a troll when it comes to JWs. And there's that app called Quora. Do you all know that? I stumbled upon that. I don't even know how. I must have downloaded the app, and I was going to delete it, but when my inbox said something about do Jehovah's Witnesses do this? Jehovah's, it's because you ask questions on this platform, and so I got interested, and I started posting my own questions on there. I said, how do Jehovah's Witnesses feel about the new light that's coming out in January? Probably no one knows yet. But I've seen other people ask, do you 100% trust the faithful and discreets, or the governing body, they call them? And a lot of people say, oh yes, they're anointed, and they give all these scriptures, and it's like, there's no proof. And then I love it because when a Jehovah's Witness gives a BS comment, there's always someone to save the day. And like, there's always an XJW there to save the day and give. Sometimes I go on there ready to respond something. I may not even have to, because there's a lot of people that know who. I don't know if they're all XJWs on Quora. Probably not. It doesn't seem like it, because seems like there's a lot of people that just know their Bible and calling them out. But if you guys can just hold on 1 second here. I've been meaning to sign on to my YouTube to get onto the comments section. All right, I'm on now. But anyways, is Rick there? Are you ready to do a video, or do you need a few more minutes? Okay, he needs a few more minutes.
I say something there?
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Who's talking?
This is Tom.
Oh, hey,
and
Tom.
You were saying, hey, Eric. Hey, really good to hear you. I really enjoy listening to your point of view, and I know that you were definitely screwed over by this organization, and a lot of us totally, we don't admit that we were screwed over as much. But so my point of what I wanted to say was basically, I do believe, as far as the lawyers, I know I was in 1986. I was unbaptized publisher, and because a couple of Jehovah's Witnesses saw me smoking, I got disfellowshipped, and I was shunned. I was treated as if I was totally disfellowshipped. And as far as I knew in my mind and in their mind, that if the Armageddon came or the Great Tribulation came, I was definitely going to die. So I already knew that I was going to die. But then 2 years later, new light. They changed that policy because I was not baptized and I was therefore not an official member. So they could not force my family or anybody to shun me. Now, if that wasn't because of lawsuits, why was it? Because how in the world could I go from being condemned to death and shunned and treated as if I am dead? And then 2 years later, the new light comes out. And so my point is that they probably got sued for that. And they decided that policy. And so that's all I'm saying. I just wanted to throw that in there that, yeah, I do believe that so many of the policies keep changing because of lawyers and lawsuits. That's all.
Yeah, Tom, doesn't it feel like that they're on their last leg and there's nothing they can do now? Like it's like I've said this before, or you know what? I'll use the analogy that the person said on Reddit in South Africa. They said it's like you're trying or at least with the people, but you could use this for Watchtower as well. It's basically trying to fill up a bucket of water that has a bunch of drilled holes in it, and there's nothing you can do. You know, you can keep filling it, but there's nothing left, and there isn't. This is a dying organization. We're watching it happen in front of our eyes. Before you go, Tom, Brad from Australia says hi.
Awesome, cool. I was thinking of him just now. That's cool.
Yeah, he says hi, and I love that guy.
Hello,
Hello. Yes.
Hi, Eric. Hi, dear.
Hi. How are you? Who's this? Oh, hey, Connie.
Good. Hi. I was just going to say that, what's really interesting with regards to Watchtower is when you're in it long enough, or you have been in it long enough, you can see how the whole entire organization is all about rules and regulations, which is an easier way to say it's all about legalism. That's what it is. They take their pen on the Bible and they set with all their rules and regulations. And after a while you start to realize that, this is not a God-directed organization, because God was the same yesterday, today, and forever. So why is this flip-flopping? So you get into critical thinking mode and you start to think, this is just not adding up. And then last week, Barbara said something that was just, I think was very, very profound. And she said that 70% of the people who were Bethelite, 70% that were Bethelites left the organization. That's a lot of people. And you think, why in the world would that have happened? Well, because they got inside living there in Bethel, seeing the organization, seeing the governing body members at breakfast time and all that, and they realize, it's a bunch of nonsense. That's what it is. While the majority of the people in the world, didn't have the opportunity to go to Bethel and to see Bethel and the governing body members, and they didn't see that. So that just says a lot about the organization. And they are like the Titanic with all the holes, and they're bleeding out. They're just, they're trying to scoop out the water as fast as they can, but that ship is really sinking fast. So thank you, Eric.
Hey, before you go, I was just going to add to what you said. Dick was in the military. When you're on the front lines, or when you've seen things that you probably that the government, let's face it, aren't proud of. I mean, that will cause PTSD, and it also awakens you up to your government, and you realize maybe what I'm fighting for, because especially around the Vietnam War, these guys aren't as clean as I thought they were. You learn things. The government tends to not really like the vets. They tend to put it off on the people and say, support your vets. It's like, well, yeah, we will, but shouldn't you guys, take care of these men that fought for our country? And in the same way, like you just said, if it's 70% that's left the organization, I believe that they see it on the inside, and they've seen things, and they can't not unseen them. And just like that, the government doesn't like ex-military that have seen something they shouldn't have. The witnesses don't like it's the same thing. The organization doesn't like these people. I'm sure they can't stand people like Barbara Anderson or Rick Farron, that are protesting, or people that have been close to the organization. But I thought it was a really good comment, Connie.
Well, honey, the thing is I've been out of the organization for 40 years. I got involved when I was 16. I'm 68 now. And there's a lot to be said about experiences in life. And I think a lot of us come on the air out of love. I know I certainly do, to help others so that they can learn from our experiences. So they won't have to go through the pain and suffering that we have. And if they have, we can help them through in a very loving and kind way. Because, that's what really life is all about, is really helping each other in a loving way. And Watchtower is slick, they're very slick. And they're a snake. They have a forked tongue. They'll say one thing, but then their behavior is just the opposite. And one other thing, honey, I'd really like to say, I don't want to take up your show, but I really would like to say.
No, you're fine.
I had the opportunity to meet John Ramirez in person. And so people might say, well, big deal, who's John Ramirez? Well, the best way I can describe John Ramirez, he's a very loving person today, okay? But he would be the incarnate of Satan the devil on earth today, okay? Not today, but in the past. He was the third high priest for Satan the devil. He was in the kingdom of darkness from the age of 8 until he was 35. He was born and raised in the occult. His family were all witches and warlocks, okay? So you're thinking, okay, so what's that have to do with anything? Well, John's mother had been a JW for 8 years, and John grew up in the South Bronx. Anyway, I read his books, Dangerous, and it totally changed my life. Coming out of Watchtower and just trying to find answers and so forth. And the point I wanted to make here, Eric, is this. And John is a very beautiful person today. He loves Christ. I know not everyone is a believer today, but I am, so I have to just share that. And John has said, you see him on YouTube and so forth, and Inner Circle on Facebook, and he's a very loving person. This is what he said, and Rich and I have talked about this. Now, this is someone who was the third high priest in the kingdom of darkness for the entire world, okay? Deeply, deeply embedded in the occult. Palomeombe and Santeria, okay? They grew up in Puerto Rico. Anyway, he said this, and I shared it with Rich, and I really want your audience to hear what John Ramirez said, okay? John,
yes, please.
That for anybody listening He said, do not live near any kingdom hall. Okay? That came from John. He's a Christian today. He's a born-again Christian today. But he has said that Watchtower is definitely involved in the occult. There is nothing godly about it. Okay?
And he said not to live in a near the Kingdom Hall. Is that right?
Do not live near a kingdom hall, is what
Wow.
he said. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that came from John Ramirez. Yep. And
Well, can I just add real quick? I'm not trying to interrupt your story, but just to add in that part, in Riverside, Rhode Island, where I'm from, we were next door to some neighbors that like 4x4s, dirt bikes, all kinds of things. And I didn't get involved. I wasn't the type of person that got involved with Watchtower or the Kingdom Hall. I just showed up, did what I had to do, get out. But I did hear rumors and stuff, and they always had problems with the neighbor next door because the witnesses were bitching about them starting up their trucks or their cars or their dirt bikes and running around in the woods back and just causing noise, interrupting the audience. So just based on that alone, I wouldn't want to live near the Kingdom Hall. But sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
oh no. Well, his point was as far as the spiritual aspect was concerned.
Oh, okay. On a spiritual level, you don't like a energetic, bad energy level.
Right. Well, he could astral project. For anybody who knows about the occult, that's big time. And John was very good at astral projecting. And he said, he was a bad boy in the days. He was one of Satan's assassins. And he said, he would cause gangbangers to hit a community, cause prostitution to come out, a lot of horrible things. He was the third high priest for Satan the devil. Okay. And so anyway, he said, but when I would astral project, he said, if there was a body of Christians who had their hands in a circle and they were really praying and they knew about spiritual warfare and they had the ring of fire, which is God's Holy Spirit, he said, I could not penetrate that. I could not in that neighborhood. But he said, this is the key, Eric, I won't say. But he said, if they were Jehovah's Witnesses in their kingdom halls or they were Mormons, he said, I had no problem carrying out my mission from Satan the devil. Now, isn't that something? That's very powerful, because I think there are a lot of witnesses that think that they're in the true religion, but this is somebody who was the third high priest for Satan the devil he grew up, he moved up the ranks, but he was very steeply involved for 35 years. And I think that just speaks volumes. I mean, people who are born and raised in Watchtower, they don't have another platform to really compare it to, like, being Catholic or Protestant or whatever the case is. Well, that was the same case with John. He was born and raised in the occult. He didn't know any differently. But anyways, he's a wonderful, beautiful Christian man today. And, I've always said to Rich, I've learned a lot from John, and it really helped me
That's our gift for you.
my shower big time. So I just wanted to share that there. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. It's always good hearing from you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bonnie, I'd like to agree with you on that only because I was really intimately involved in 3 different congregations in my area. And my actual congregation, that road that congregation was on, they've dissolved it since then. But there was, when you read the police blog, they went to that road more than any place else in the city. And the next town over, the witnesses that lived next to the Kingdom Hall were totally involved in pedophilia and all that other stuff. And then the other neighbors were totally, just like you said, with their motorcycles and their trucks, just wild partiers. And then in another Kingdom Hall that I was familiar with, that was also kind of a trouble territory. But it was. I agree with you. I remember actually after I had left and then I started going back. I remember actually walking into a Kingdom Hall and feeling evil, total evil. And my whole hackles all went up, and I just felt like, holy, it was the scariest sensation I ever felt. And I just had to get out. I had to leave. I turned around, I left, because it was when after I sat down and tried to, partake. But, I do agree that it is an evil organization. And also, I don't know if you guys all went, but I remember hearing a thing about this woman, who, when she was a little girl, used to be brought down into the basement at Bethel, and they would do automatic reading from her,
Yes, automatic writing. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I'm just saying, if those stories are true, we can't corroborate them, and it's not easy to get that information. I honestly don't know where to go back to, but understand that I agree with you only from what I've seen, and then the new congregation that they have. And then the other Kingdom Hall that I went to, when I tried to go back, the couple right across the street were JWs, and they ended up getting divorced, and their life was terrible. And I don't know about the people up the road, but I just know it was terrible for them. You'd think they'd have Jehovah's blessing, but they didn't. So anyways, I just have to agree. So I have to.
Yeah, well, I'd like to just touch on something on that, honey. I never knew how do you address it? Automatic handwriting?
Yeah.
Is that the term?
That's it. Backwards, you had to look at it in the mirror.
Right.
To find out what it was really saying.
Right. It's written, for those people that don't know what it is, it's where someone is under demonic influence, and they can write very, very fast, and they're writing backwards. And like Rich says, you take that piece of paper and you put it in the mirror, and then you can read it. Well, I've always talked about Anton LaVey, because I'm originally from the San Francisco Bay Area, and Anton LaVey's, one of his daughters' name was Ray LaVey, under the Egyptian goddess or god Ra. Okay. Anyway, long story short, came to Glad Tidings Church in Yuba City in California that I was attending before I started attending the church. And anyway, her name now is Deborah Joy Bryan, okay, who happened to be, this story is real close to us, because that's the pastor that married Rich and I. Okay, so we're very close to the situation. And anyway, now her name's Deborah Joy. But anyway, she had so many demons in her because, where do I begin with this? Anton LaVey was following Aleister Crowley. He loved Aleister Crowley's teachings. And Aleister Crowley was from England. Okay. Anyway, Anton LaVey was the Black Pope. Okay. And anyway, long story short, his daughter was going to be, Ray LaVey, was going to be sacrificed as the bride of Satan. Okay. And what happened is Anton LaVey did 6 of the 7 sexual abuse rites to his daughter. Rituals. They were rituals. And the last one was to sacrifice her to Satan the devil, which meant it was going to be her life. Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing this up is our pastor is now her father. Okay, so this story is very, very close to Rich and I. Very, very close. And anyway, she had, when she was under demonic influence, the Bryans were not even fully aware of who she was or what her background was, because she didn't want to tell people. But anyway, even Dave Bryan said, oh yeah, he said, Deborah Joy, she could do automatic handwriting. He said, I would see her do it. And because he and his wife had her come live with them in their home. And he said, yeah, she would be under demonic influence, and she would just be writing out like a song. Okay, it'd be a song, very popular song, and it would be for a particular musical artist, and the artist would take the song and it would be a major hit. So anyway, that's the first time I ever heard of automatic handwriting, but it is demonic. Yeah. And then
I agree.
Have you heard that experience? I don't have any clue how to find it, but there was an experience of this woman who said when she was a young girl, she was chosen and she would be brought to Brooklyn and she would be brought down into the basement, down those tunnels, because I've been in the tunnels, they had tunnels in Brooklyn. And then, and there were a lot of women in there, and it was, and she would be placed at a table, and she would do this automatic writing, and I think it was Franz or Nor. I think it was Nor. It's Nor. But so she was taking that information and giving it to them to help them form their religious order.
Well, Tom, let me. This is Rick Farron. Tom, let me clarify that. That story was first told on the 6 Screens about 12 years ago, and there was a woman named. Yeah, that's where that story came from, and the woman's name was Raven Giuliani, and she came on the 6 Screens, and she told that story, how her father was connected with the big wigs of the Watchtower. And she would go there with him, and she was demonic. And they would bring it down in the basement. And I mean, she told the story, and people were aghast by it. Even till this day, it's one of the most controversial calls we ever had on the 6 Screens.
Wow.
It was a very, very supercharged meeting. I'll tell you, it was unreal. People had a hard time believing it, but this woman swore to death that that's what took place. She said she was demonic. She was an automatic writer, and it was just unbelievable what she had to say. But, you know, again, I don't believe she made it up. I don't know why she would want to come on and tell it, but she called me up. She says, Rick, I want to tell my story. She was out of the Watchtower then, and I got people that don't let that girl come on and talk, but I let her come on. We let everybody have a free voice here in the 6 Screens, but it was the most controversial program I've ever had on the 6 Screens. Yeah.
Wow, I was not on the internet 12 years ago, so I don't know how I heard it, but wow, that's Raven Giuliani.
Raven Giuliani. Her father was a pretty high official. He was very close to the governing body, and they lived in New Jersey, and they would go visit the Watchtower headquarters in Brooklyn. And when they would do that, she would dress up in like a little hooded jacket, like, you know, Little Red Riding Hood, and they would take her down into the tunnels underneath Watchtower. And when we first did the program, people questioned it. Oh, come on, Rick, there's no tunnels under there. And she swore by it. And then, of course, when they sold the Watchtower buildings, the tunnel rights did not go with it. So it was published right in the Brooklyn Eagle. But people questioned the fact that there were tunnels. But she was taken down in one of those tunnels. There was rooms off of the tunnels. She was taken in there, and her back would be against the brothers that were in there listening. And she actually would do this automatic writing. As a matter of fact, some of her writings, she said, went into the Daniel book, the Jehovah's Witness Daniel book, that was demonically written. And it's quite in fact, I'm working right now on our website, putting up the most controversial calls, and then that is in the top 10. That's number 1. Yeah.
Is that why the Daniel book got canceled?
Could be, but she claims that she was, what she would do is Satan would talk to her, and she would write the information down, and then she would give it to the powers to be at the Watchtower writing committee, and they would take what she was telling them and write it in the publications. Yeah.
Wow. Can you believe what we were all a part of? That's the most common thing that I say in my household to my wife. What were we a part of?
Well, you know, for people who are JWs might be listening in right now, you know, what was the guy named Johannes Grieber? You know, right? Johannes Grieber and his wife, I mean, she was a spirit medium, and she and her husband were involved in interpreting the scriptures for Watchtower, which is the New World Translation. Okay, so, you know, for some people listening, this is like, this doesn't make any sense. It does when you really listen to how the history is. And not only that, but then when you go back to Charles Taze Russell, you know, he went back to Egypt, right? And he's studying, you know, all the planets and the Pleiades and all that, and measuring all the pyramids and all that. And that was all tied in with the occult. And that's how 1914 came about, was because of Charles Taze Russell. So, you know, you just have to, I know it's a very difficult pill to swallow. It really is. Because Watchtower comes across being so squeaky clean, all the pictures in paradise with the animals and all the brothers of different nationalities, and we're all just one big family. I mean, that's a very beautiful thing. But it's the facade that Watchtower has all of us buy into.
As an angel of light.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I know there are people listening in, excuse me, my throat just got a little dry, that don't even believe in Satan or the demons, okay? But I'm telling you, they're very real. And Watchtower's all a part of it. And the other thing is, way back, I don't know if my sis is on the line. I hope she is, Sharon. But the thing is, Rick can feed into this too. Way back in the day, in sis at Sharon's congregation, she was on Long Beach. No, not Long Beach. Sorry, Long Island. I'm sorry. I'm from California. Long Island. Anyway, there was these. What would you describe it? They were just like these boxes, and anyway, they would have these voices come out of them. And she said there was absolutely no wires or anything hooked up, and it was in her Kingdom Hall, and it was all demonic. It was, and Rick brought that up. And it was a conversation we had one night on the show, and it was very interesting. And Sharon said, "Oh, I remember that." She says, "I was little, and I remember those things. They were so scary getting near them, and none of the elders wanted us to touch those boxes. There was some certain name for them, but not all congregations had them, of course. I mean, I know my congregation didn't. But anyway, this organization is tied into Spiritism and the occult. You know?
Well,
Of course, absolutely.
It's definitely steeped in the occult, and there's so many things, Constance, and the audience listening in, that you can tie them in with the occult. And
Right.
like you say, Constance, it's very, very hard for people to come to grips with that. They just can't believe that end of it. But you know, in the 19 years now that I've been doing this program, I've had 3 incidents where people have told me that there is a secret order of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I'm just going what they told me. I'm not saying this is a fact, but I've had 3 people get a hold of me and tell me that there is an order of Jehovah's Witnesses that a lot of people do not know about. It's a very dark order where satanic ritual takes place. Now, I know, don't head for the mountains, people. I know when you mention the word satanic ritual, there's many people that get up and pack their bags, and I'm not going to go along with that. I'm just telling you what people called me up and told me. And right up here in Massachusetts, as a matter of fact, there was right out in Pepperell. It's about 20 miles from where I live. And in fact, a person actually even showed me where this occult meeting took place of Jehovah's Witnesses. She was a young girl and went there. And, you know, when I first heard this, I had a hard time believing it. But then, of course, when I heard it from a number of other people, I started saying, geez, is there really a secret order of Jehovah's Witnesses? But, you know, it's not manifest. Not everybody knows about it. And there's a lot of secret orders that exist that people don't know about. But very fascinating stuff.
Hey, Rick.
What was the name of that little box that you had discussed, you know, some time ago, that was in the Kingdom Hall? You remembered that?
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah, it was the radionics,
Radionics.
box, from what I remember. And Charles Taze, not Charles Taze Russell, but Rutherford kind of was the promoter of it. And it was a box that somehow would give off radio waves of some type that would actually give you information, like a Ouija board almost. And the Watchtower actually was involved with this back in the late 20s, I believe, early 30s. Yeah. And just some of the congregations, even to this day, I'm sure, kept it around, like in Sharon's congregation. But it was a definite thing. There was a definite occult mechanism to attract demons. Yep.
Hey, Rick.
And says she was being little, and she would just sit there, and it was during the Watchtower meeting, and it voices would come out of that box, and there were no wires or anything. She remembers that very vividly.
Oh yeah. What's that, Eric? You want to say?
Oh, I was just going to say in the comment section, people wanted to know, particularly this Aaron person, where they can find the Raven interview.
Yeah. I'll try to put a link up there to it. Give me a few minutes and I'll see if I can.
Oh yeah, no problem. I don't mean to put the pressure on you. I just thought I wasn't sure if you knew off the top, but they addressed it to you. So I like to interact with the audience. I figured I'd just throw it out there.
Put it up there. If not, by next week I'll have an answer for you. I'm revamping.
Well, there you go. Oh, Aaron Hubbard. Well, there you go, buddy. We'll try to get it to you.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Yeah, go ahead. Is this Dan?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. It's a really great conversation you guys are having. I just want to say, I was thinking about when you guys were talking about this, about all the dark magic and different things. And I know a lot of witnesses will say, no, that's not in there. It's too pretty. But, Jesus called them whitewashed graves. And that's a pretty nice looking grave. When you look at a whitewashed grave, maybe something that's pearl and beautiful. And the Pharisees all played the part. They had the robes, they had the knowledge, they had and Jesus came right in and said, "You're dead man's bones." And so it's very similar to the Watchtower. I like to think of it like black magic in the Watchtower is willful lying. And Watchtowers willfully lie. When you willfully lie, unconsciously lie that, the world is going to end in 75, and say, "We never said that." Generation prophecy, we never said that. Overlapping, we never said that. When you do that, you're operating as Satan. You're transforming into light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. And so that is black magic, the practice of covertly, willfully sinning with consciousness. And that is what Watchtower is doing. Watchtower is sinning consciously, and unconsciously they give a shit. They don't give a shit. So this is black magic. And who the hell, if somebody came up to you and said, Jehovah appointed you over all his belongings, wouldn't you say, when did they say that? When the hell did you talk to Jehovah? When did you channel Jehovah? When did you channel Jesus? And if Watchtower is the source of their supply, which they say they are, we're the source of your supply. We're the source of your spiritual food. And I tell the witnesses, you do not preach to governing body. So they are the source of your supply. They hear Jehovah's voice. You do not. And then they say they don't. There they go, turning off the light, turning back on the light, turning off the light, turning back on the light. These are dark sorcerers, and they're doing it consciously. And that makes it black magic. So it doesn't have to even be somebody getting sacrificed or drenched in blood or killed. This is black magic, what they're doing right now. It really is. There's a book called Black and White Magic. In the book, it says covert lying. All the things that are lying, fear-based, are all lower astral. The lower astral demons participate in attractor fields that operate in fear. So when I was at the assembly, when me and Angela were at the assembly the last day, we walked in. It looked like a whitewashed grave. It looked beautiful. It looked organized. It looked amazing. Brothers walking down, counting the brothers. But there was something very demonic in it. And I'll tell you what the demonic shit was. The demonic stuff was the fear. I'm like, what the hell are they doing? Why are they showing barbed wires? Why are they showing Hitler? Why are they showing people in concentration camps? Why are they playing this funeral music? So I'm in there going, what the hell? I'm looking around like it's pretty on one level, like Jesus said. You guys are shiny and pretty, and you got rocks on your fingers and this and that. But there was something very demonic. I was in there and I thought, man, this is too pretty. It was vomiting pretty, but that's okay. You say, oh, that's Jehovah's clean organ. No. What is this barbed wire? What is this stupid drama that they have? where people were running for their lives. Why are they running fire drills? Why are they promoting fear? Fear is not of the Lord, right? You know what I mean? So they're promoting fear, they're promoting falsehood, and they're doing it consciously, guys. So this is black magic. It's even simpler than that. And Jesus said, and that's what you once were. So they still are that. They still are black magicians because they don't want to do right. You're born again when you say, I want to do right. I want to serve God. I don't want to play these stupid games. I don't want to play with people's minds. I don't want to be covert. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to lie anymore. Watchtower has not come to the end of themselves. So because they don't, the people got to make a choice. Do we stay under these dark magicians? Do we stay under their falsehood? Do we continue down this road? Or do we run for our life? Now, here's what the Bible says. If you don't get out of falsehood, you will suffer under falsehood. So what's happening now, because they're under false magicians and priests, they're being stole blind. They're asking for everything they got. And the Bible's told them, if they false prophesy, don't fear them. Get out, run. But because the people won't run, they will suffer under Babylon the Great, the world empire of falsehood. And that's what Watchtower is. It's proven. It's got the record. The record speaks for itself. Nobody's making this shit up. You go online, it's a lie after lie after lie after lie without apology, without I'm sorry. Like Rick said in the show earlier, people lost their homes. People gave up their health. People gave up their money. People gave up their families. People gave up their kids. They destroy families. They hide pedophiles. I mean, think about how crazy that is. I know I'm talking a long time, but think about how crazy that is. They're hiding pedophiles so they don't bring reproach on Jehovah. I mean, come on. It's just God don't say anything. Like God's a fool. The God they worship is a fool. The God they're talking about, the God they're trying to portray, that's not the real God. I don't believe that's the real God. Because that God would not be giving them false information. That God would not be giving them bits and pieces. That God would not say it's light today and wrong tomorrow. He wouldn't say we got good news and we've got new light and then it'd be false light. He wouldn't retract everything that he said. He wouldn't be calling back the literature. And so it's falsehood upon falsehood upon falsehood. And it's time for people to wake up. People that are out there need to wake up. They need to see this for what it is. They need to come out of denial. Come out of denial. See what you see. Look at the Watchtower. See what you see. Open your ears. Pray your ears be open. Pray your eyes would see. Most people, I didn't see. I couldn't see. The Bible says people would have eyes but wouldn't see. They'd have ears that wouldn't hear. This is what we have in Watchtower right now. We got people that eyes that don't see and ears that can't hear. You can pray for those eyes to be open, that you could see what you can see. Angela did that when she was with her husband. She said, Lord, am I in a cult? And all of a sudden her eyes popped open. All of a sudden she goes, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I've been in a cult. And this was a cult after Herbert W. Armstrong. It was another cult. And so God can open our eyes and give us sight. Like Constance Borgie saying, we can turn to God. We weren't worshiping God in there. We weren't worshiping Jehovah. We weren't worshiping anything. We were following men. We were following false guides that are still false and unrepentant, will not turn around, will not admit they're wrong. They're narcissists, they're liars, and they're thieves. And they're getting worse, guys. And they're getting worse. Bad men will advance from bad to worse. And until we turn to God, we will be continued down the road of degradation and just total putridness. But anyway, sorry guys, I just rambled on for just a long time. It had to get out of me.
No, you're good, buddy.
Yeah. So what you said about as far as looking good and you go into these assemblies and everything's spotless, they constantly preach that you need to, your home is a representation of Jehovah. You need to keep your home maintained, make it look good. You don't have to spend extra money, but you need to keep it painted. You need to maintain, and you need to keep your car clean, and you need to be wearing suits when you go out to a meal, when you're at the assembly, and things
And you
like
better
that.
not have a 2-door car.
Yeah, that's a facade.
Because we're Jehovah's Witnesses, we gotta have 4-door.
Yeah, yeah. But it was putting up a fake facade on the outside, even though inside we're all just crumbling and tortured and not knowing which way was up. But on the outside, hey, look at us, we're Jehovah's Witnesses, and this is the perfect religion. And because we're putting up a good show, come on in, and we'll get more members and make more money, and we'll get to control more people. That's all I want to say, and that always bothered me, and to this day it bothers me, because when I see somebody that puts way too much emphasis on their appearance, I really pay attention to their personality, because
It's a red flag.
their flaws. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but that's my philosophy, and I do believe, that it has. I think it's, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been proven many times, but that's what they do. Jehovah's Witnesses, everything's got to be perfect. They always show how organized they are and how perfect everything is, and how everybody's always happy and loving. They put on a smile even though they're not happy, and they love bomb you. It's all fake, and they don't even realize that Satan is doing this, but he's teaching them to do his shit. And this is a very good conversation, and I'm out of it now, but I just have to throw it out there, because that really does, and always has, bothered me all my life.
Yeah.
Eric?
Well, hey, while I got Rick on the line here, I'm sure he wants to get a little rest. Do you mind playing that clip for all of us? Because or the 2 clips, they're only 2 minutes apiece. I'm sure Rick's a little exhausted.
Well, obviously, our text today deals with the
There we go. Thank you, Rick.
way that Jehovah deals with us. And while I was researching this, I came across a Watchtower article. It was back in 1998, and it covered the subject of respecting and dignifying others and being refreshing to them. But it was sobering, because on the very first page of that article, there was a picture of a slave ship. And I wondered, well, why is that there? Well, the article commented, the slave trade was among the darkest episodes in man's inhumane treatment of his fellow man. One of the most egregious examples of man stripping another man of his personal dignity and respect. Not refreshing at all. Stripping a person of dignity and respect is devastating. But the interesting thing is that though the atrocities connected with the slave trade are abolished in most lands, well, the stripping of human dignity, it still exists today, but it's just more subtle. The world is ruled by Satan, the devil, and he wants nothing more than to put us on that ship, stripping us of our personal dignity and respect. Many of our brothers and sisters who work secularly, they have to deal with this every day. Some of our brothers are persecuted around the world. Satan tries to strip them of their dignity. He takes our loved ones away from us so that we feel lost and hopeless. And through sickness and old age and other unpleasant human experiences, he tries to make us feel worthless and unwanted. He wants to strip us of every ounce of dignity that we have, not at all to be refreshing. And that's why our text today is so refreshing. Note the
Go ahead.
Is that as far you want to go, Eric?
All right. And do you have the other video? You can play them back to back, and I'll cover them both.
Hold on 1 second. Let me get the other video up. Give me a second.
No problem. And it's pretty easy, just from the beginning to 2 minutes and 2 minutes and 23 seconds on that YouTube channel.
All right.
And I'll give a shout out to the guy who did this, Thy Kingdom Come.
All right. Just give me a second here, and we'll get it up for you. And stop.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, stop sharing this one. We'll get the other one up here right now. Share screen. Right. This one. Yeah. Okay. Ready.
Yep, that's it. It'll take a second when you hit play for the audio to come on, but we're good to go.
Hold on a second. I gotta go back.
In the distant corners of our solar system, ice giants Uranus and Neptune are violent worlds. Blanketed with
Commercial.
spaces, these outer planets are frenzied, turbulent, and unpredictable. Neptune claims the fastest winds in our solar system.
Is that okay, right here. I'm sorry.
Alrighty. Thank you.
The distant
Hold on. We got what's happening here is a commercial here trying to interfere with it. So just give us a second. Keep going to the commercial, Eric.
Yep, no problem. No problem.
Hold on one second. It's the way YouTube has this thing set up. Okay. Give me a second.
And in fact, we're really happy to say the Jehovah's Witness leadership has been very, very adamant supporting vaccination.
Situation number 2. How do things change depending on the subject matter of the advice being sought? So in this scenario, our friend is confiding in us a health problem that they're facing. And it's maybe a medical treatment that they're trying to decide on, and they're looking for some input. What's the modest course in this situation? Well, we genuinely feel for our friend, and we want to help them in any way that we can. But here too, the principle, the underlying principle of 1 Corinthians 4:6 applies. That is not going beyond the limits of our authority. Well, what is our authority in this kind of a situation regarding health matters? Well, the Watchtower said, when faced with a health problem, each adult Christian must carry his own load of responsibility in choosing treatment, end quote. Well, then, keeping that in mind, modesty will help us to think carefully before we offer our own medical advice or before we discourage them from taking a prescribed treatment. But what can we do to help them? Well, certainly we can listen empathetically. We can offer them our sincere, heartfelt sympathy and comfort. We can think about what practical help we can give them. And we can reassure them of our support for whatever decision they should choose to make. And how does that modest course benefit them? Well, it dignifies them in that it allows them the right to make the decision for themselves. It also protects them from any undesirable consequences in the event that our medical advice might not be the right one in their case. But it also provides them the love and the reassurance and the support that they need at that challenging time.
The pandemic has been just one of...
All right. Thank you, Rick.
All right.
Well, what do you think, audience? I'll tell you what I think. I guess since it's fresh in our mind, I'll go with the second video first. Well, you know what? No, I'll go with the first video first because it's about self-projection. He talks about stripping a person of their dignity and respect, and that it's devastating on people. Does the Watchtower do that? Have you noticed that? Did you have your dignity when you were in the Watchtower? If you were abused by them? I didn't. I lost all my dignity. I had announcements made about, I think a lot of us went through that got disfellowshipped. If you got disfellowshipped, there was a local needs part. Where's my dignity in that? Where's my dignity when the elders are asking my wife what our sex life is like? I mean, and that's why I'm bringing up self-projection tonight. Excuse me, audience. That's why I'm bringing up self-projection tonight, is because everything that guy said, what's his name, Anthony Griffin, everything that he said is what Watchtower is guilty of. I mean, I can't think of a more disrespectful religion or disrespectful way of life of how people treat you. You know what? My dad used to have a feisty spirit, and he got this fellowship for smoking marijuana. And he told me that he told an elder who I know very well, and he said that he told him to go F his mother in the parking lot because he was so upset with how the religion or organization or cult were treating him, and that it pushed him beyond what he could bear, and he lashed out like that. But then they whittled him down to be a submissive servant, and now he just, I mean, they even softly disfellowshipped or shunned his granddaughter, who was 1 year old, because both of the parents were disfellowshipped, and the elder in the hall didn't like what was going on. I mean, this is what we're dealing with, and these people, when this isn't the only video that they've done self-projection. There's others. They're constantly showing their ass, so to speak, and it seems to be nonstop. I don't have any other examples other than this one that I gave right now, but now we'll move on to the second one, and I'll open it up to the audience and see what they think. But it seems like they're changing their mind now on medical advice, and I have to give a shout out to JP for giving me this, because I've watched the video, but I didn't see it that way. I watched Winder give this talk because I watched the whole annual meeting. What is it? I don't even know. The annual meeting? No, that's not what it is. The whatever it is. they're BS. But they're changing their mind on medical advice, it seems, because they have been so involved with our medical advice, the hospital liaison committee. So I'm wondering here, is this just hypocritical? Do they not see themselves? I mean, or do they really mean it, that they're no longer going to give medical advice? Are they backing out of that? Because like I said earlier, I feel like the lawyers run this show, and if the lawyers run the show, they might be telling them, yeah, we got to like kind of get off of that. I don't, but then Rick said, and he's right, they are still disfellowshipping for the blood transfusion. So it's very interesting where it's going to head. I saw a lot of contradiction in that, in those two videos, and it's leading me to the conclusion, and I'll let the audience know in a second how they feel. But it's leading me to the conclusion that these men are so desperate that they're making bad decisions. And you know what? I almost feel like God is damning these people. Who knows? I mean, like, let's say that God's name is Jehovah, right? The possibility. Wouldn't he be pretty mad what he's doing, what these people are doing in his name? I could see it possible that he would cause. All right, they say that they give the smallest little thing, right? Like, we got sand from a typhoon that came in and killed a lot of people, but we got the sand to do our project. It's from Jehovah. Yeah, okay. These guys are out of their minds, and they're making themselves something when they're not. And it's with the whole self-projection thing. They just constantly are telling people that they are who they are, but they not, but they are. It's a mind F, if you know what I mean. But I hear someone in the background, and I'll shut up for a little bit. Does anyone have anything to add to those videos or anything at all to what we're talking about tonight?
Eric?
Yes. Who am I talking to?
I would think, this is Connie again.
Hey, Connie.
Hi, honey. What's so serious about this whole thing is Watchtower is playing with people's lives, literally their lives. You know, when it comes to the blood issue, or even when, COVID hit in the year 2020, March of 2020, they were pushing, I don't even call them jabs because they were not vaccinations. They were absolutely experimental. If you read the fine print, they were not vaccinations. It was a pandemic, and a lot of people bought into the age of deception, and a lot of people were seriously ill with neurological disorders from it, and also death. Not everybody, but a lot of people were, depending on, I guess, what jab they got. And what I was going to say is Watchtower was really, really pushing that, you know, people need to have the jabs. I mean, I found out when I went to a COVID conference.
Hey, Connie.
Yeah.
Hey, Connie, can I interrupt you for just 1 second? I just wanted to add to you about the jabs. This video that I shared with you all, because you're on a really good point, and I just want to build you up. Let's see here. When it comes to the jab, I'm trying to find the name of the video. I have it written down somewhere. I can't. Oh, Thy Kingdom Come. This YouTuber, he put this video up, and I didn't show the whole video. I would rather get his permission to do it anyways, but it's very long, but it shows all of the governing body updates from like 2020 to 2022. And there's about 8 of them, I think. And they're all governing body members except one. There's one missing from, or no, there's 7 of them and there's one missing. Somewhere around there. I lost count, but it's about 7 or 8 videos and they're all pushing the jab. And I noticed that there's repetition in the video. It's too long to play for the audience, but you guys should look it up. And there's and thank you, JP, for showing me this. But there's repetition in the video where they're like, "Well, in Garrett Loesch, well, in this country, there were 4 brothers who got infected with COVID, but they were already in critical condition, and they had the vaccination." And they're all saying the same thing over and over again. I caught the repetition, and I think that the news and what's coming out, the lawyer, if this is a company run by lawyers, they're telling you can't give medical advice anymore because the vaccine is actually hurting people. But when you hear it for yourself, how many times they talk about the jab, it's disturbing. And I really thank this brother or sister, whoever it is, that put that video out there to expose that. But I just wanted to add that to your comment because you reminded me of it and I forgot to talk about it. So thank you very much, Connie.
No, that's fine. I mean, the COVID conference that I went to, you had Dr. David Martin there, you had Dr. Zelenko, you had Dr. Judy Mikovits. I mean, you're talking about people that were at this conference was at my church, Glad Tidings in Yuba City. And these people were really sticking their necks out on the line to expose the deception of all of this. And Watchtower was all right behind it. Oh yeah, get the jabs. Well, they didn't say jabs. Get the vaccinations, get the vaccinations. And there was so much pressure in the organization for JWs to get the vaccinations. I had heard that even if elders did not get them, or ministerial servants, that they were going to have them step down. That's how much pressure there was. That's what I had heard. But, you know, when did Watchtower ever go and get a medical degree in reference to this, right? You know, a lot of people were seriously injured by these. I mean, you go on YouTube, it was no joke. But like I say, it was the pandemic. It was all planned out. And then Watchtower was closed, the churches were closed, including the Kingdom Halls, in California for a year because of Newsom. Well, what ended up happening was Watchtower was concerned. The Kingdom Hall shut down for 2 years. And I found out the longer that a church was shut down and closed, that was more money that church was going to receive. So no surprise, Watchtower had their Kingdom Halls all shut down in California for an extra year. Just follow the money trail. That's Watchtower.
Wow.
So thank you.
It's incredible what the amount of abuse that they put upon the people for their own self-interest. What a great comment. Thank you, Connie.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, who am I talking to? Hello? Hello?
I believe that was the fellow there from Australia, but somehow we got disconnected. But maybe he'll come back on, Eric.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the heads up, Rick. Well, I think we've had a great show tonight. You know, we got there's a lot of material here, and again, not to beat a dead horse, but I'm glad that Rick played that clip too with Anthony Griffin, because I'm really sick and tired of hearing the same old thing over and over again. I'm tired of them always covering their behinds. It just seems like what the thing that they do today. In the daily text, they always self-project. You know, forgive your brother. Well, you know, how come the governing body hasn't forgiven Rick? Aren't we all brothers and sisters, even if we disagree? These, you know, at first when I heard Rick saying that that Bethel was coming in and crashing his show, I was skeptical, right? But I'm not anymore at all, because these people are willing to do the most dirty things. And I don't mean to beat a dead horse or repeat myself, but I've told the audience before that I was stalked by a Jehovah's Witness elder in Tennessee, and he asked me if I interrupted him before he could finish his sentence because I already knew where he was going with it. He was basically asking me if I was threatening the sisters, and I knew exactly the conversation he was talking about. What it was I had saw these sisters at the cart, and I walked by, and I said, hey, like, I talked to them and they ignored me because I think I'm labeled as an apostate from them now. And I said, hey, just be careful with what happened in Hamburg, Germany. You know, it's dangerous out there. There's a dangerous times that we live in. Just keep safe. And apparently that was the threat. And this brother saw me in a grocery store and approached me, and this elder, and he had a top hat on, like the old time top hats, like the taxi driver, you know, the New York hat that people used to wear back in the old days. And then he had a trench coat on and a suit. And the way he approached me in the store was just weird. He just creeped up on me and said, hey, and then told me about the sister. And I said, are you stalking me? And then he just bolted. And I said, hey, I'm not done talking to you. I want to talk. And that was the end of it. But anyways, I just tying that in, that Watchtower is just sneaky and creepy and weird, and they make big things out of nothing. I've never had a pure relationship. Excuse me, audience. I've never had really a pure or good relationship with an elder, except one guy, and he got removed as an elder for saying fuck. I'm just going to say the word. Sorry, audience, but that's the word. He said, get the F out of here to another elder because he was violating him and in his space and trying to work for free. But my buddy is a master carpenter and didn't need that. And a good elder got removed. And you know what? Maybe it's for the best. I hope this brother wakes up. I know he won't. He's devoted his life to the LDC and RDC. You know, I know I'm rambling now, guys. Sorry about that. I'm getting a little off topic, but was there anyone in the audience that wanted to add a comment? Let me look inside the YouTube channel too.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, who am I talking to?
It's Tim here. How you doing?
Oh, hey Tim, how you doing? Did you get hung up on?
Oh no, I think my phone. It's just the headphones. They're a bit
Gotcha.
sensitive.
Yeah, Tim, good to hear from you.
Thanks, Eric. I was just going to add to what you're saying about the stalking and being creepy, and the hacking thing seems to be a bit of a theme. But some of your listeners might have heard of that Warwick Pimo guy that was leaking information.
Yeah.
Rick mentioned a few of his things. Yeah, he made a final video, a kind of a comeback video about what happens to him. And he was saying, well, he says on there that they entered his computer through illegal means, like basically they hacked his computer. And he was saying, he was kind of putting a warning out for people to be careful. He said, you're not dealing with stupid people. They know what they're doing. And it was a whole creepy thing. Like they kind of virtually kidnapped the dude. I kid you not. If you listen to the story, one of them, made up some excuse. Oh, we're going to go out somewhere. And then they stumbled across another witness who was prearranged to meet them two in the car. and they've driven him out to this location, and then they've kind of pressed him really hard about all the leaks and does he have a YouTube channel, and in the end they kind of showed him the evidence. So they've pretty creepy behaviour all in all, but yeah, by the sounds of it, they know what they're doing with the computers, and they were onto him, and they've hacked his system and found out what he was doing. So I don't put past any accusations that go against them. You've got to give some credibility to. And then just to touch on what Dan was, and you were talking about before about with the whole Satanism thing, if you hear about like people like with the World Economic Forum and that, and they're into, some of them are into Satanism, there's some sort of a stupid spiritual law they adhere to that you have to give people a warning about what you're going to do. And it's like, okay, not everyone has to believe in Satanism, but these people, they do believe in it. And it's kind of like the Watchtower is doing the same thing. So, for example, we're not inspired yet. So they're telling people they're not inspired, right? But then they're also saying in the same year, you should act, our message coming from, your salvation depends on listening to our message. And also things like you can liken the governing body to the voice of Jesus. So it's like, well, you're saying you're not inspired, but then you're saying people's salvation depends upon listening to you. So that mixed messaging. So they're following that kind of weird satanic bullshit, whatever, where you have to tell people the truth, but you're also telling them a lie at the exact same time. Obviously not everyone that's in the organisation is involved with that, but it sounds like some of the people up the top, they're obviously very weird people. There's that. And then the last thing, just about that whole medical advice thing, I was going to say, they're probably hearing from their lawyers about what's coming out with the whole jab thing. The latest news that's just dropped is a leak from the New Zealand government where they detail how many jab deaths have happened within 6 months of the jab. It's pretty damning anyway, but you probably won't get that on mainstream news until enough non-mainstream news sources drop what's going on with that. So it's all, like you say, it's all lawyers, and that's all they're acting on the word from, just the lawyers, and also financially driven. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, no, great comment, Tim. Artsy Kim says that Tim is paying attention, and I agree. You're on top of the ball, and you made really good points. I agree with everything you say. While I got you on here, Tim, I'll give you a point to think about and see if you agree. Doesn't it seem like the organization is a mafia in a way? But think about how we're living in modern times. This is 2023, right? The mafia lost their power because of basically the growing of the government and their power over electronics and equipment and cameras. I mean, this isn't the 60s and 70s because I grew up in a neighborhood that was around the Italian mafia. And in fact, I know Jehovah's Witnesses that come from Italian mafia parents. You used to be able to, I even heard stories like it was so corrupt that they would an insurance adjuster in the auto body trade, because that's what I did. And these old timers were telling me that the mafia would come in and tell the insurance adjuster, well, look underneath, there's all kinds of damage here. And he'd look, no, I don't see nothing. They drop the jack on him just enough not to kill him. You see it now? But I'm bringing up the way the mafia used to work, and they don't work like that anymore. In fact, the mafia almost doesn't. It still exists, but they're more political, and they get senators in to make things their way. They do things more sneaky. My contrast to this is that Watchtower is almost a mafia. If you could agree with me, they if you think about it, in the structure of the mafia, you have the boss, so the governing body or the boss, but then you have let's say you have the concierge, which is your advisor, and that would be probably the lawyers. Then you have your captains, that would be the the captains would be the circuit overseers. Then you have your soldiers; those are the elders, and then you have your rank and file; those are just the unmade guys, the associates. And I feel like it fits, and they're using psychological warfare to do it. You know, that's my little spin, but to add to what you were saying.
It does.
How do you feel?
I've always liked them. Like I always liken them more to like that's one analogy you could use, or a communist, kind of in the Cold War communist era government style, where they've got everyone in fear and an public informant system. You know, like back before the internet, people used to dob each other in. You know, in the 60s and the Cold War era in communist countries. Everyone was in fear because you didn't know who was going to dob you in, you know, and so they could control people in that way. But with communism, it's all about the collective. There's no individual voices allowed, and so with the witnesses, you can't have individual thought. You have to follow along with the collective. What the communist governing body says goes. There's no dissent, even if they'd say something 10 years time that you've said before. It doesn't matter. You would disfellowship them. You know, it's just like a better than communist system, because witnesses don't actually use weapons, whereas a communist government still will in prison use actual like physical force. The witnesses have got it fine-tuned because they're able to keep people enslaved without any violence whatsoever. So I don't know if communists or people like Klaus Schwab or the New World Order, you know, if they want to take notes, just go to the governing body. How do you do it? You know, same with the jab. How much compliance, like with the jab, you know, what the governing body, people just follow with that. You know, there's no country on earth has got that level of compliance as what the witnesses have in their organisation. That is you know, you've got a massive level of compliance with what's said and done, you know, again, and without even any violence. So that's how good they've got it, you know, how good they run it. But I kind of think with the modern age of the internet, you know, that's, and also governments are turning against them. And I kind of think it's more in line with what you said, to be honest. With God, like whether he's Jehovah, whether he's a different name, you know, if you're going to take on God's name and you're going to profess all this stuff in his name, as the witnesses do, you're way more accountable. No other religion on earth nearly claims to speak, you know, for God in to that micromanagement level that the witnesses do. You know, no person in a church, you know, has to talk about the fine details of their life, but with witnesses, every detail in their life is covered. Every single scripture in the Bible, they've got an answer for, you know, made up, but that's just, you know, so you're taking on board a big responsibility, and you're saying it's in the name of God. I mean, even going back to that whole jab thing, they said people listened to the voice, like, Jesus' direction. Well, bullshit. It came from the UN. It wasn't Jesus, you know what I mean? You're passing off your words as though they come from God. That's blasphemy, you know, and that's what they're doing all the time now. And I think that's going to, that religion, it's going to have to self-destruct, because, like, well, I believe in God. I'm still a Christian, but I think that, you know, you behave in a manner like that, you're not going to be standing for much longer. So, you know, but anyway, I'll put it on mute because I've got work to do. Great to chat, Eric, and thanks for listening.
Oh, thanks a lot, Tim. It's always great hearing from you, man. Thanks for calling in. Love you, brother.
Mhm.
You have a great night, man. Good. Have a good night at work.
Mhm.
Eric, can I say something?
Sure, go ahead. Who's talking?
Okay, it's Connie.
Hey, Connie.
You know, the entire organization is how they manipulate and control the masses, like what Tim was saying, at such an extraordinary level, is through fear. That's it. It's all about fear, creating so much fear. Fear that you're going to get disfellowship, fear that you're going to displease Jehovah, fear of the apostate, fear of the elders. And that, my friend, is, you know, even the scriptures talk about it. Jesus said 365 times. It's easy to remember. It's like a day for every year. Do not fear. Do not fear. Do not fear. Well, you know, the scriptures say that God did not give us a spirit of fear, but instead he gave us a love, power, and a sound mind. That's 1 Timothy 2:17. So when you look at the organization, okay, you have to say, where is all this fear coming from? Well, the fear is coming from the organization because the organization is not godly. If it was godly, it would be loving, it would be, you know, kind, there would be spiritual upbuilding of each and every person. This organization is all about destroying people's lives, you know, and creating so much fear and disaster in people's lives. There's nothing godly about it. And one thing I'll just say that I'd like to say, but this is really important. John taught me this. John said one thing that Satan does really well, and if he can change the character, God's character of who he really is, then he's got you. Okay? And so my point is, people that are JWs, they think, oh, well, this organization's run by Jehovah God. This is, you know, who Jehovah is. No, this is not who the God of the Bible is. You can call him Jehovah, Yahweh, I am, whatever. I'm not debating any of that. The point I'm trying to make is the fact that, you know, you can't change the character of who God is. And Watchtower has done an excellent job of it. And that's why you see so many people that when they leave this organization, they don't want anything to do with God. They want to be atheists. I was one of them, okay? I'm talking about myself in the past. You're so burnt and so angry what this organization has done in the name of God, you know, you think, I don't want any part of God or the Bible, or I don't want any part of it. Well, that's how Satan works, okay? And people need to be really cognizant that this organization is not spiritual. It's demonic. It's led by Satan the devil. It really, really is. John Ramirez, don't even tell you that, okay? So, you know, wake up, people. Don't be wasting your life in an organization that is a real estate empire and is very self-serving and just using you to abuse you. So that's what I'd like to say tonight. So thank you, Eric.
Oh, thank you, Connie. It's always good to hear from you and your hubby. You know, just to add to you, another thing too is that in the Bible it says, "You will know my people if there is love among you," something like that. I'm just paraphrasing. I don't know where it is. I'm rusty because I gave up on religion. I'm more spiritual.
Right.
But is there love in the Watchtower, everybody? In the comment section or on the phone, is there love? Has anybody really? I guess I have felt love at times with Watchtower in the 90s. I'd say like 90s, early 2000s. There was a little love shown to me, especially when I was in the hospital. But you know what? I got hit by a car when I was 13 years old. I was on a bicycle, and I'm a hemophiliac. I'm a bleeder, and I was in the ICU for 3 or 4 days. I can't remember. I was 13. And I had 2 blood clots in my brain, which is really bad for a hemophiliac. And I was in bad shape, and the witnesses were there for me. But you know what stood out to me the most was my dad's friends or boss, whoever it was at work, and they sent a clown over. It was a singing telegram, and the cookie was like huge, this gigantic cookie, the biggest cookie I have ever seen. It was like the size of an 18-inch pizza, maybe 14-inch pizza, something like that. You know, a big. It was ginormous, chocolate chip. And my buddies happened to be there as I was in the hospital. When I got hit by the car, I was a witness, of course. I was raised by them, and I had witness friends that lived next door, and we were all put money into getting a basketball hoop at his house where we could have it and play street ball. And so I was going over there and got hit by a car. But anyways, I know I'm rambling, but So there was some good experiences, but these days it's almost like what the scriptures say: when a bad association spoil useful habits. Um, I'm finding more charitable and more love and kindness from the so-called quotation fingers world than I am with the witnesses, and especially the more that they're getting demonic, like you brought up. They're almost demon possessed, because I think that the governing body are. I think if they're not channeling God, then who are they channeling, Connie? Right? They must be channeling Satan, because even if they're channeling themselves, that would be Satan, because because the love of self is satanic. And I feel like that's what's happening now, and their true colors are showing, and they can't hide it anymore.
Can I put something here?
Yes, go ahead. Does someone want to speak up? I don't mean to steal the show.
Hey, Eric, this is Stefan. How are you tonight?
Hey, Stefan.
Hey, I just had a quick question. It was a quick comment, man. It's going back to when you were talking about, and Rick as well, demonic influence. I'm probably the most skeptical person you'll ever meet, right? But either the last or the second to last memorial that I attended, instead of it being at the local community hall, it was at a high school, the theater, if you will. And I don't know if it was the lighting or if it was me just in the process of waking up, but it was extremely spooky. And I just felt like there was an evil presence, and that this was not, it was unlike any other memorial I've ever been to. It was extremely somber. And I even stood to the side and just kind of watched as people were exiting. Nobody was happy. Nobody was smiling. Nobody.
Wow.
It was like everybody just wanted to get out of there and, get on to whatever it was that they were going to do. And it was the first time I think I ever thought in my life as to whether or not the memorial isn't really something that is attached or connected to the demons in some way. Because I just never, in all my years, and I'm over half a century, I never experienced that. But at that memorial, again, I don't know if it's because I was waking up, but I just felt it. I just felt like this ceremony that they're doing was like almost like a black mass, for lack of a better word. And that was probably the only time when I really thought about a possible demonic connection to Watchtower. And the fact that when you read the scriptures now, it's so obvious to me, in my opinion, I'm no Bible scholar, but it's so obvious to me that everyone who professes to be a Christian should be partaking. And so the fact that you are not partaking, and in fact you are rejecting, is a part of that black mass. That was the first time I ever felt that, and I've never forgotten it. It was the last memorial I attended, and I said, I'm never going to another. And I did. Thanks.
Now that you say that, there was never really good energy at the memorial, and it was always a sales pitch. Like, you remember the end, right? Hey, if you want to be, get a Bible study with Jehovah's Witnesses, and blah blah blah. It was never glory to Jesus. It was glory to themselves. It was a sales pitch.
Exactly.
And not to get too off topic of what you're talking about, but XJW Curious Pete, he gave a video about memorial because of his aunt that passed away, who was a witness for many, many years. And she got a shit memorial, pardon my French. And he says that I could feel the anger on him through his energy in the video. And he showed the outline, and he has the outline and there's an outline for the talk. And it's like 70, 80%. No, it's more like 90% Watchtower promo. It's despicable.
Yeah. That's correct. But it was just something about it that I never felt before. And I just felt like there was a demon. I could almost see demons just flying around. And like you said, the energy, when I watched people leave, there was just no joy, no happiness. I went out to dinner with some witnesses, And it wasn't until like the total end when everybody was sort of shaken loose from the effect of that memorial, and they were back to kind of being their normal self. But it wasn't until the complete end of the evening. I mean, after we ordered, after we got food, ate, had a couple drinks, and then everybody kind of, livened up. And I just said, man, this is weird. And I don't know why I never noticed it before. Like I said, I don't know if it's because I was waking up and I was really seeing it for what it is or what. But yeah, I just wanted to comment.
Yeah, thank you, brother. A great comment, man.
Yeah, the brother's right. There's only two organizations in the world that refuse the emblems, and that's Jehovah's Witnesses and Satan's organization. Demonic demons, they reject it. There's two organizations, Satan's organization and Jehovah's Witnesses. Thank you.
Yeah, because you're right, Dick, because Satan's organization, right, the Illuminati and stuff, they absolutely I don't want to get too into it, but I don't know if the audience knows about it much, but like the Illuminati and Hollywood and stuff, they're all demonic, and they all do sacrifices and do pretty bad things. And if you pay attention, you notice that a lot of them give praise to Satan, celebrities and stuff. And unfortunately, this religion, so-called religion that we were a part of, their foundation was in the Illuminati. I believe it. I know a lot of people don't believe in what Fritz Springmeier has to say, but not even just him. Even it's just that there seems to be major ties with Russell being with a Freemason, if not with the Illuminati. And then we all know that he used pyramidology to come up with 1914. I mean, what does that tell you? The pyramids were pagan. Go ahead if someone's trying to speak.
Hey Eric, can you hear me? This is Gigi.
Oh, hey Gilbert, how you doing, buddy? Oh, or Gigi, sorry.
You can hear me. And
yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you just fine. Go ahead, brother.
I agree with everything you're saying. About and that's deep stuff that you're talking about. The Rutherford and the Spritzmeyer and everything. But I always say gotta keep it simple. KISS, and Jesse and I have been preaching for years on our channel that Satan is like, he's always telling you the half truth, and so when Watchtower tells you that they're spiritually feeding you, they're telling you the truth. It's just they're not telling you that it's spiritual salmonella. They're poisoning you. So let's follow this. Let's keep it very simple. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, you go to the meeting 3 times a week and you go to eat spiritual food that's tainted with spiritual salmonella. And for example, I always say in my videos, Yoda, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. So let's look at this. What do you go when you go to the Kingdom Hall? Let's keep it simple. You hate Christmas, you hate Thanksgiving, you hate birthdays, you hate high school dance, you hate high school prom, you hate high school football, you hate the county fair, you hate the county parade. The list is endless. There's not, tell me something that the Jehovah's Witnesses don't hate, because they are being constantly fed spiritually poisoned food on a daily, weekly basis. They get their daily text and their commentary. It's poisonous spiritual food. And so then you say, well, why are they demon possessed? Well, no shit, Sherlock. You don't have to be a freaking detective to figure this out. You don't need to dwell into the Illuminati, which is nothing wrong in all the work that everybody does.
Excuse me.
The dinner plate.
I'm sorry.
Look at the dinner plate. When you are constantly being fed hate, you get the Jehovah's Witness religion. So the antidote. So if you're Jehovah's Witness and you're listening and you're thinking, well, what do I do? Well, stop eating that food and start loving Christmas. Start loving Thanksgiving. Start loving the city that you live in. Love your high school. Love your state. Love your country. Just love everything. And then you'll get rid of that poison. It's called detox. So what I'm trying to say is I agree with what everybody else is saying. I do. But when you keep it to its most basic, simplest form, keep it simple. We were constantly eating spiritually food, and they were telling you, Eric, today you're going to be spiritually fed. And the program, if you get your program for the assembly, we're going to program you with this, message. So does that make any sense or no?
I thought that was a great analogy. Yoda did say that. He said that anger leads to hate and hate leads to suffering or fear. It started with fear, I think, and then
fear.
I don't know. Yeah,
fear.
And you know what was amazing too about Yoda, and I don't mean to nerd out. If you watch the prequel trilogy, when Order 66 comes in, Yoda could feel every single person around him being slaughtered, basically, because he felt the energy of the earth. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is to further an analogy of how, like I'll give you an example, Gilbert. My wife is a very highly sensitive empath, and when her when her aunt passed away, she committed suicide. She felt it and woke up that night, and she said something's wrong with my aunt, and she told me that, and I understood that because I'm not an empath to that degree, but she's Native American and she's very strong in touch with the earth and with energy and people around her. And I've heard other stories of people going through that. I'm an empath too, but I don't have it on that level. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is when Order 66 came, Yoda felt all of that energy and everything dying around him that he loved. And then he had the senses enough to know that he was being hunted too. And when I told my mother about what my wife went through, she said, that's impossible. That's Satan and the demons. And I'm like, well, why would Satan and the demons make her aware of that? That doesn't make any sense. But this is the mindset of the rank and file. Anybody that feels energy, anybody that has intuition, it's all demons. It's a really hard place to fit for anybody who is intuitive or an introvert. Extroverts do a little better at it, but I thought I'd add that little nerd part of me too. And when you watch that part, or even when Yoda sensed the pain of Anakin Skywalker when he murdered all the Sand people because they murdered her mother, that actually exists, and I appreciate George Lucas for putting that into a science fiction film to where it shows, because the witnesses don't get it. They're taught that everything is the demons, Gigi. That they're taught everything is bad. Everything, I was fortunate enough that Star Wars wasn't bad, but Harry Potter was, and Lord of the Rings, but I watched them anyway.
Yeah, but Eric, what you got to understand is this. It's real simple about the Yoda and everything that you're talking about. It's just so simple. King Solomon was right. All you have to do is when you accept the fact, when King Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun, it's all the same thing being played over and over. The only thing that's different are the names. So the people that wrote the Star Wars and all the other shows, they are multi-millionaires because they're smart. They are a lot smarter than everyone listening to this show. Everyone that's listening right now or in the future, you're not as smart because their bank account shows how smart they were because they wrote this movie and they participated and their experience was in the movie. So what I'm saying is that the cult life that we live as Jehovah's Witness, it's everywhere. Now that you left the Jehovah's Witness, you realize, oh my God, it's in all facets of society. It's just that the only difference between the Jehovah's Witnesses and a lot of these other groups is just the names have changed. So Star Wars, in a lot of ways, we relate to it because it's the same story, like King Solomon said. It's just there's nothing new under the sun. It's the same story. It's just the names have changed. And so then when you accept that, you as an ex-Jehovah's Witness start loving all of these other people and when they tell their stories. And the Jehovah's Witnesses are filled in hate. So they say, well, that experience that you went through is satanic. Of course that you say that because you're filled with hate. Not me. I see, oh my God, you got paid tens of millions of dollars because you wrote this script. You must be a very smart guy. I start loving you for your intelligence, for your, for your hard work. Jehovah's Witnesses aren't, because they're constantly being fed spiritual food, and you need to go into spiritual detox. Is what I'm saying. So yeah, everything. All I'm saying is that everything you talked about right now about the Lord of the Rings and everything, it really is what King Solomon said. It's the same story, and that's why we relate to it. We're like, oh my God, I went through the exact same thing. Like, yeah.
Gilbert, but you are confusing the hell out of me. That's all I can say.
Oh,
well, who's talking, brother?
This is Tom.
Hey, Tom.
I'm trying to follow you, Gilbert, and I agree with you on many points, but you're spinning this story around and around to where I can't even. I'm lost. Okay. I don't know what you're trying to say. That's all.
What I'm trying to say is that all of these, for example, we're talking about a movie character or whatever. The truth is found everywhere, and that's why it rhymes with us. We're like, oh my God, I really like this, I really like that, because the same experience that we went through as Jehovah's Witness, somebody else went through it in a different scenario.
It sounds like you're saying that whoever wrote this story for Star Wars, somebody else wrote it. I think that no, I don't.
If I can add to the conversation here, what Gilbert I think is trying to say, because I watch Gilbert's show sometimes, when I can, and he had one on music. He had one on music, and I forgive me, Gilbert, for not remembering the musician. It was really good though. And he connected the lyrics to Watchtower, and it was beautiful. It was Jim. No, I don't remember who it was. But anyways, Jim Croce. Thank you. Yep. And I know that song, and I rewatched the lyrics with him, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool, because that's the beautiful thing about movies or cinema and music, is that we can connect to it in our own way. And so if we're confusing you with what we're talking about, it's because we're both obviously nerds. But we're just trying to show you how there are similarities and that how we can make connections with different things. If I am representing Gilbert correctly.
Yeah, and the fact that your mom said that about that's satanic, who your experience with what your wife is experiencing. You see, because they're so filled with hate, they can't see that the answers are all around us. But when you start loving everything, you can start seeing the answers. That's why the Jehovah's Witness, she says, you're satanic. Well, of course, because that's all they do is feed themselves hate. And they can't see anything. They're blind. Hate blinds people. And what I'm saying is if you start loving everything, you're going to find out that everyone is smart. Everyone has something to give. You see? But Jehovah's Witnesses can't see that. They can't see that all of this music, all of this literature, all of this stuff, the beautiful things in the arts of the world, they can't see that there's a lot of wisdom. Why are Jehovah's Witnesses like that? Because they blind themselves on a daily basis with hate. And Watchtower's telling them, we're giving you spiritual food. So that's what I'm trying to say. Is you have to,
at the same time, they're told
I was just going to say, and Gilbert, nowhere in the Bible does it say spiritual food. It says food at the proper time.
Yeah, exactly.
So what the heck are they talking about?
No, see, that's why Jesus says, pay attention how you listen. If you just listen, Watchtower's telling you the truth. From the abundance of their heart, they're telling you we're satanic, but they're doing it subtly. You don't even know you're being poisoned.
They're not telling you the truth.
They're demonic. But when you actually
the Watchtower telling you the truth, they're not telling you the truth.
well, no, the truth according to no, they're telling you that what they really believe. Like because when they say we're giving you spiritual food, Eric is right. You're listening. Just listen to what they're saying. They're telling you what really is in their heart. They're giving you spiritual food.
Everything they say is the truth, so you have to believe it, even if it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
No, they're demonic. They're demonic. That's why we say that they're demonic, because they're spewing it out. They're spewing it out with perfume. And it sounds good, but if you actually pay attention and dissect it, that's why a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses do videos and they dissect the words of Watchtower. And then you're like, oh my God, I can't believe there's actually said this. Like, for example, babies are enemies of God.
That's the worst of it.
Yeah.
That should have been a nail in the coffin to every Jehovah's Witness. Nope, I'm out. I don't get it. Are they not paying attention?
May I speak?
Go ahead. See you later, guys.
Hello, Eric.
Yeah, hi. Who's this?
This is Philip.
Scott?
No, this is Philip.
I can't hear the name. Sorry. Say it one more time.
Philip.
Stop. Okay.
Yes, I wanted to comment on you making a point about telling the sisters at on the cart that they need to be careful because of what happened in Germany. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that was a very good point that you made, because also, of course, there was the situation when a brother was sitting in his car and he got shot in field service. And as you recall, I grew up in the 1960s, and society was very good in the 1960s. When you went out of field service, there was no fear of going door to door. And of course, we were taught that the angels looked after us.
Protected you. Yeah.
And here's my point. That never happened in the 1960s. Because in the 1960s, society overall was good in the 1960s, And the thing is, it wasn't the angels who was looking after us. It was just that it was a better society in the 1960s. And we didn't have these problems. No one was mass shooting in the 1960s. People were not. Yes, people were.
People did not know.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. But what I'm saying is, if people were shooting each other in the 1960s, we would have known about it through the evening news. But my point is this: is that it wasn't the angels looking after us. It was because we had a better society in the 1960s. That's why these things happened. And so consequently, the reason why you see it today is because of the breakdown of society. It wasn't the angels. It was because of the breakdown of society. We thought it was the angels looking after us. But in reality, it wasn't the angels.
No.
It was society, because what was the angels when that brother got shot in his car in field service?
Yep.
Where were the angels? Where were the angels when that madman went into the Kingdom Hall in Germany and shot those people? Where were the angels? Where was the angels where that ex-JW brother and sister shot those people in Colorado? Where were the angels then? So
where were the angels? Where were the angels when two sisters went to El Chapo's house, if I have the right cartel number?
That's right.
And were murdered, right? Were they? I think they lost their life. They were tortured and murdered.
That's right. That's right. And so,
where were the angels? They don't tell you those stories, brother.
Exactly. So my point is that what in reality is that in the 1950s and the 1960s, the reason why these things didn't happen It's because we were in a better society back then. You know, people used to get, another point someone called in about was the memorial. You know, I remember my family, not just my family did this, but other families. We bought new outfits for the memorial. We bought new outfits. My mother bought a new dress, a new hat. I got a new suit for the memorial. Everyone did that back in the 1960s. People don't do that anymore.
Right.
People don't get dressed up anymore. When we went to the Kingdom Hall and you seen people going to church, everybody was dressed up. The little kids were dressed up. People don't go to church dressed up. They wear flip-flops and shorts and jeans, t-shirts. This is a very sloppy society we live in. So whatever is going on in society is reflected at the Kingdom Hall and everywhere else in society. That's really the answer. Because it was a better society back in the 1950s and 60s when you go into Kingdom Hall. And if you look at films, if you go on YouTube and look at a film of an assembly at Yankee Stadium, for example, in 1958, look at how the people are dressed. Look at how people's attitudes are. And compare today to the 21st century. It's because society, the denigration society has changed.
True.
The angels had nothing to do with the angels. See, I think that's a point that some of us miss. Is that if you look back in time, if you're old enough like I am, because I'm a senior citizen now, if you look at how things were when you were growing up in the 1950s and 60s, if you're around, or even the 1970s, when you went out in field service, there literally was no fear about. Of course, you always had bad people. Of course, that's normal. But there was no fear going out in field service. It was pleasant. It was pleasant back then. And so that is really the answer. We thought it was the angels, but in reality it wasn't the angels. It's just that we were living in a better society in the 1950s. There was innocence back then. There's no innocence anymore. I mean, you look at the way people dress, they don't care how they look. They don't care how they behave.
Yep.
You can't go anywhere. There's mass shootings everywhere. Going to school. You can't go out to the theater. Somebody may shoot you. This is a thick society. And so my point is, there is not something where everybody just loves each other. This, in other words, they call this the world, of course. And yeah, they did exaggerate it. Of course, yeah, they did. But let's not overdo that. It's not total exaggeration, because if you look at how the world is, this is a sick society we live in. It's a weird, sick society that didn't exist 50 years ago.
Yep.
So, yes, the witnesses did overdo telling us that everybody was bad. But
it's like the boy that cried wolf. Yeah, the wolf is eventually going to come.
Yeah.
And somebody gave a comment early on Rick's show about a dog metaphor that the governing body used, but he got it mostly right. But what the governing body was saying is, if you have a dog, and it was who was it? The Australian guy, I can't think of his name, but he says, if you have a dog and it barks every night and no one's there, do you shoot the dog? And that's a horrible analogy, because if I had a dog that was barking every night and it wouldn't stop, I might not shoot it, but something's got to give. I might have to donate it, or maybe put it down. I don't know. I can't have the thing I got to go to work. I can't have it wake me up every night. But I thought it was a horrible analogy. I'm like, I'll shoot the dog. And if you're the dog, I'll shoot you. No problem. I mean this metaphorically, not offensive to any kind of, you know what I'm getting at. Yeah, sure, brother.
But Eric, you go into those sisters and tell them to be careful. I think it was a very wise thing to do, and I don't see why the brother is saying you're threatening the sisters. No, what you're telling them, this is not the 1960s. You have to be careful. I mean, I'm so glad that I woke up, because of the fact that, first of all, I've been in fellowship over 30 years. So consequently, I've been out more than I was in. But I would not be safe.
You said Alabama?
Excuse me? No, I'm not. I'm from Michigan.
Oh, you're from Michigan. I thought you said Alabama for some reason. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I said I've been in fellowship. I'm in my late 60s, and I got this fellowship when I was 29. So I was out more than I was in. But my point is, I would not feel safe going door to door today in this society. I would not feel safe, and so I have
to agree. I have to agree with you. I think it's a very unsafe time.
Yes, I mean, in fact, I would not feel safe walking in a neighborhood today because I don't know what kind of weird person is behind that door. And so my point is that when you feel that way, I would not feel safe going door to door, and I really feel they're going to eliminate door to door, and it's going to have just carts. And I think that's probably wise to do because I would not feel safe going door to door today. I would not feel safe going to return visits. Just would not. And so,
and I don't believe that it's because they're worried about their safety, because they're worried about being sued for sending these people out.
Well, the leadership may feel that they're afraid of being sued, but the membership is safety. I would not feel safe going door to door, as I stated.
It hasn't been safe for years.
Yeah, so my point is the ones that are my age still in there, I would not want to go door to door today. And because our society is a very sick society, not saying everyone, but my point is you don't know who's who. And you just don't feel safe knocking on someone's door. I mean, in the 1960s, if you knock on someone's door, they either didn't answer it, or they say, well, no, I'm not interested, thank you. And that was the end of it. Today, somebody come out there with a machine gun.
Wow.
These are some sick people out here. And I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying you don't know who's who. You don't know who's who. And so my point is that to go out in field service and knock on a stranger's door, no way, I wouldn't do that today. And so I think that's really what it is society has changed. It was not the angels looking after us. And, they were saying, what's interesting, in the 1960s, they were saying how bad things were. But they really weren't bad in the 1960s. It was good in the 1960s. These were not that bad in the 1960s, but they claimed that it was really bad. But really, they're talking about today. I like to see what they say about today because they were saying that back then in the 1960s. And it wasn't bad in the 1960s. It was not. It was much better society back then. So now what they're saying is true. It is a bad society. That was true. Because people are different today. The generations that are around today were not around in the 1960s. And these younger generations are far more different than my baby boomer generation was, or my parents' generation was. These young people are much different than it was when I was a young person. So that's really the key. It had nothing to do with the angels. The people are different.
Can I say something?
Hey, Eric.
Sure.
Hey, Eric.
Yes. Who's this?
This is
Hey, this is Adam again. I just had a.
Oh, hey, Tommy.
Every time I hear that illustration about the dog, it just pisses me off. I have a dog.
The illustration about what?
Walk my dog.
Oh.
Sorry? Yeah, so I have a dog. So one day I'm walking my dog, and all of a sudden my dog freezes, and he just goes into a mode that I've never quite, seen him in. And long story short, there was a coyote that you could not see. This coyote was stalking us, and he basically stalked us all the way home. So the point that I'm making is, Watchtower is so disconnected from reality. Even the illustration about the dog is the most absurd thing. Dogs do not bark without reason.
Now maybe you have some little chihuahua or something. I don't know anything about those. Those to me, I'm not even worth the dog. But a real dog, they only bark when there's really something to bark at. So his illustration was stupid. It made no sense. I'm sorry. I hate it. And every time I hear it, it pisses me off.
But I want to get back to what I was going to say, sir, about the society is definitely gone to hell. It is worse than the 60s and 70s. Because, I mean, when I was a kid in the 70s, I used to walk like 2 or 3 miles from my kindergarten school to home. But everybody knew who I was in the community. So everybody watched out for us. Now there's so many people, nobody connects with their neighbors and they don't know each other. And everybody is so involved in everything online that it's almost like they actually live in the city, because we see everything that you used to only be able to see when you were in a city. So now it is 100%, I agree with you, a whole different ball game. And you are 100% right. I agree with you. And I never felt like I had an angel standing behind my back when I went to a door. I just put it on me being a good person, and but other than that, yeah, that's.
But you know what? I felt, I really believe when we were taught that the angels watched over us, because nothing happened. Nothing happened when we went out field service.
Yeah, because we were good people.
We were good people, but also society was good people. It was a better society. That was it. It had nothing to do with the angels. It was because the people at those doors were good people. That's why nothing happened.
I have a very important question for you on this subject. You left and stopped being a Jehovah's Witness, and you got to know worldly people. Did you start to find out that, holy crap, these people, there are so many good, wonderful, friggin' people out there that I was afraid of? I thought they were under Satan's control, and I could never go to any company parties. I couldn't go to any sports game. I was not allowed to have any worldly association. Now all of a sudden I'm disfellowshipped, and I start associating, and I start seeing, holy shit, there's a lot of really good people out there.
Here's my point. I always knew it was good people, even when I was a witness. It's just that the way I was taught and what I believe is that they were misled by Satan, but they were good people that was going to be destroyed. That's how I look at it. But here's the thing: I never had this black-white version of people. All the witnesses are good. All the people who are now witnesses are bad. I never felt that way. I always knew they were good people.
Because you have critical thinking skills.
Right, exactly. And so
yeah.
my point is that, and I'm sure all of us agree with this, including Eric, that when we were witnesses, there were some very good people in that organization that we associated with. Very good people.
Still, yes, they are.
And they were misled as they are today. Some of them died believing this nonsense. And so that's what it was. We were misled.
Many now living shall never die, and they're all dead.
And the thing is that we thought that we were serving God.
Yep, for sure.
The stories that I hear from people on XJW interviews, when they interview people, it breaks my heart sometimes to hear these stories. These people made so many sacrifices, because they were good people, thinking they're serving God. People make these sacrifices because they think they're serving God, not a man.
Right.
And I remember
they're being duped, brother.
Right. And I remember my elder telling me one time, he said, "We're not serving no man, we're serving God." And of course I believed that at the time. And now that I've realized it was all a lie.
Good night, Carol. Sorry, I've just given a shout out to someone in the comments section. Good night, Carol Paradise. Thanks for listening.
Now I know that that elder was wrong. He is serving a man. It's a man-made organization. It always was.
He doesn't realize
We just didn't know that at the time.
Right.
We just didn't know it. But I always knew that they were good people who were not witnesses, but they were going to be destroyed, unfortunately, because they were not witnesses and they didn't believe in the organization. That's what I thought. I never thought they were all evil. Sure.
How long were you a witness?
I was born in.
And how long before you got out?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you something. See, I was always a very weak brother. Always was weak. Was something in me because I never wanted to be an elder or a ministerial. See, when we was coming up,
the same with me. I wanted to be a little Indian. There's plenty of chiefs.
Yeah. all I cared about was not getting destroyed and making it destroyed. That's all I cared about.
Average life. I feel that.
There was no elder arrangement when I was coming up. That didn't start.
Okay.
That didn't come up until 72. There was.
All right, you're the older gen.
Congregation overseer. There was Brother Bruton. Brother Bruton ran. He was a congregation overseer. His name was Brother Bruton, and Brother Bruton ran the court congregation. Matter of fact, you may not believe this. It was an older sister that came up and ran us our financial statement at the congregation. That was unusual. I didn't, now thinking about it, but it was an older sister. Her name was Sister Garrett. And Brother Bruton said, well, Sister Garrett, would you come up and give us our financial statement of the congregation? And it was a sister that did that. I know, but this is the 1960s, and Sister Garrett would come up and say how much we spent on electricity and all this other stuff. So Brother Bruton ran the whole organization. He ran the whole congregation. And then in 1972, I believe, or 71, 70, somewhere around there, they came up with the elder arrangement. But Brother Bruton ran that congregation overseer. That's what it was called. And so, again, it was a situation where I felt that I just wanted to, something was in me, prevented me from wanting to desire to be like Brother Bruton or be an elder, ministerial servant. And I'm glad it was there. You know why? Because it prevented me from putting in all that wasted time that all those brothers did by being a ministerial servant, an elder going to Bethel. They wasted their time, and I wasted very little of my time because I got this fellowship when I was 29, and I never came back. And I woke up when I was out, like I am now. And so I was very lucky. I was very lucky not to buy into it and wanted to be a publisher. I never counted my time. I went to all my meetings, but I never counted my time. So when I went out field service, I never counted my time. So really, I didn't really miss a lot. I didn't really, because I didn't invest a lot of time in that organization like some other people did. See, the ones who went,
you did. You invested 29 years of your life.
No, I did. But what I'm saying, I didn't invest as much as a lot of brothers because they were striving to be leadership, elders, ministerial service. They went to Bethel, so they lost more than I did. And I was out in the quote unquote world. So I was out in the world more than I was a witness. However, it did affect me mentally because I was always worried about the end was coming.
Exactly. And that's my point. I have a very important question that I want to ask you about that.
Yeah.
This day, do you still think that maybe they are right? And every stupid friggin' thing that, no, you don't really, you have 100%. I'm 100% woke up. I'm going to tell you something. About 6 years ago, I said I was going to go back to the hall and get reinstated.
That's what I said 6 years ago. But you know something would happen? I really did not want, I dread going back to the Kingdom Hall and living as a witness. Because I had that freedom to be a normal person, live a normal life, and I didn't want to go back to going back to the Kingdom Hall. So something told me, what if this is not true? So I got online and looked up ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and I came across a YouTube channel where there was a former witness who was a former Bethelite. And he opened up my eyes about why he left. And that's what started it. And then I looked up another YouTube channel, and he gave his experience as a Bethelite, what he went through. And you know what impressed me? Both of these ex-brothers were totally different from me. They were strong witnesses. They always were strong witnesses. Pioneers, Bethelites, elders, they were still servants. That's why I listened to them. See, I would not have listened to a weak brother like me. What did it was, they were strong witnesses, the opposite of me. And so that's why I listened to them. So what I said was, if they left, and they were strong witnesses all their life, and they were Bethelites, then they must be on to something. That's why I listened. And that's a very point. Before you totally wake up, I think it's important to listen to former strong witnesses, not weak ones like me. Because see, if I would not have listened to a weak witness like me, I would have paid them no attention. What made me listen is because they were opposite of me. They invested years and time into this by being a Bethelite, an elder, and a still servant. That's why I listen. And so I think if you are a weak witness, like I was, you have a better chance of waking up if you listen to ex-witnesses who were strong brothers and sisters.
You know, I was a weak witness. I was a weak witness.
Not just one.
I was a weak witness too.
Strong ex-brothers and sisters who have waken up. And the ones who were weak like I was, if you're just now waking up and have doubts, then you need to listen to those ex-witnesses who were strong.
Yep.
Because we're not talking about one or two here. We're talking about very many. Matter of fact, there's a brother, ex-brother now, who's a Canadian. He was elder for 40 years. You mean to tell me that somebody who's been a brother or elder for 40 years suddenly wakes up and finds out this is not true?
Who is this? Is this Jay the comedian, or who is this?
And what I did was, in turn, I did my own research after listening to them. And that's why I woke up today, 100%.
Yep.
My brother, can I ask you a question? This brother,
Hey, I just want to ask one thing. Can you all hear me?
I knew a brother.
Is my microphone coming in?
And was Brother Gruden extremely tall?
Are you guys there? Are you guys there? Is my microphone coming in?
No, he wasn't well over 6 feet, but Brother Gruden was tall, but he wasn't well over. He wasn't old. He wasn't like 6'4", 6'6". He was tall.
Okay, I was just wondering if this was the same Gruden. There was a Brother Gruden that I knew when I was a kid, and but this was in Chicago.
Yeah, no, Brother Gruden was in Michigan, but yeah, he was and I know, he was a congregation overseer, and there were no elders in the 1960s.
Hey, gentlemen, can I interrupt? Guys, can I interrupt? Hello? Hello? Are you guys, hello?
To come up to the
Can anyone hear me?
Financial statement.
Can you guys hear me?
But I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, right.
But because there was no sisters, they didn't let sisters do that. But Sister Garrett gave us our financial statement.
Gentlemen, can anyone hear me? You guys on the phone, can you hear me? I'm trying to talk here.
And Sister Garrett would get up there.
They can't hear me for some reason. I'm disconnected from the phone. I see that Aaron Hubbard, Eric, I can hear you. Eric, they are on their own show. I know I can't. interrupt them.
That's
Something
what I'm
happened.
talking about.
I'm probably going to hang up from YouTube. I don't know what to do. I don't know what went wrong.
Not just in the kingdom, all church too, everywhere. We've been warned a lot.
No, you're right.
It was a very
I wanted to say,
Hey, Rick, are you there in the audience at all? Rick, are you around?
one last thing.
Because it seems like nobody can hear me.
Are you sure that the witnesses can be right? I just wanted to mention very briefly that I knew two families, husband and
Hey,
wife,
there I am.
that went to Bethel. One was a young lady that I met probably when she was going to junior high school. She was one of those that was pioneering even in high school.
I don't know what happened, guys, on YouTube. I don't know what I should do.
Full-time pioneer.
I didn't change anything.
Another full-time pioneer. And put in an application, got accepted at Bethel.
I don't know Debbie Moore, if I wanted to call Rick. He's exhausted. If I hang up, I guess you guys won't be able to do the YouTube anymore if I go on the phone, so that would limit my audience.
Organization. And I was talking to a friend of mine who was her.
Yeah, but if I call in,
She just said, I don't know what got in her. I said, well, what did they say? You know, because it was shocking to basically have a couple go to Bethel and they just come right back. And what she said was it was something that they saw or heard in Bethel, and they just said, no, we don't want to have anything to do with that. And there was a second couple that I knew. They signed up, but I think they were probably in their early 30s, and they went as a couple, and they came immediately back. And I'm friends with the brother's cousin, and he told me, he said, yeah, he said, you know, he's not a witness anymore. I was like, what? He said, yeah. He said, him and his wife went up to the headquarters, and he's describing it. He's not a witness. He said, he went up to the headquarters or wherever the thing, up in New York somewhere. He said, you know, whatever it is that they saw, whatever it is that they heard, they were like, they didn't want to have nothing to do with it. And they immediately came back from Bethel and discontinued their witnesses as well. So just to answer that question, you have people who go to Bethel and really see that this thing is not a religion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that will also help in you know, being clear in your mind that they don't have God's spirit. They're not right in teaching. This is really just the money making interest to begin with.
And here's the thing that I don't understand. Those who are witnesses, whether they're weak or strong, if someone's at the headquarters and they see what's going on at the headquarters, they tell you, because there's one particular brother, ex-brother, who made videos. He said when he left Bethel, he tried to tell people what's going on at Bethel. They didn't want to hear it. Now, you would think if someone at Bethel, works at Bethel, lives there, don't you know they know what he's talking about? Well, I mean, that should tell you something. If someone is
we're gonna wrap it up.
someone is a Gideon graduate at Bethelite,
Yeah, well, we're going to cover in the program.
don't you know that? Don't you?
Okay.
Excuse me?
Well, I'll put you back up there, but your
I'm sorry.
your picture was
No,
going on.
No, I did. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear Eric. I'm so sorry.
All right.
Right now.
I don't hear him.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I won't say anything later.
But I just thought to tell you because nobody knew what to do to get you guys to know. And
No, that's okay. That's okay because I couldn't hear Eric. I can't
it
hear
was
you.
cool. But yeah,
I'm
he's
sorry.
trying to do stuff. So.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
if you go to YouTube, you could kind of see what's going on too.
No, I'm on YouTube. I see YouTube, but I don't hear anything from here. I see him, but I don't hear anything.
Okay, well, I would like let him do it. Him start over or something.
Sure.
Actually, I think they're talking. I'm talking probably over somebody. I don't mean to, but I just thought to do this, and then I'm gonna mute myself, and it might be good for you guys too. But just check what's happening on YouTube.
Sure.
This happened before.
I'm about to end it.
Sorry to interrupt you guys. Okay.
Sure, that's okay.
Eric too. Bye bye, guys. And
sure.
This kid. Be careful.
Well, thank you, folks, for everyone getting everyone being involved tonight. And sorry for the technical difficulties, but I think Rick's going to wrap it up now, and we're going to call it a night.
Well, this is
I'm
pretty sure that guy's name was Philip.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. The reason I asked is because some of the things you were saying about in the olden times, when they would call a sister up to give the report, financial report. When I was little, they did have sisters doing a lot more stuff. I do remember that time. It brought back memories.
Yes. Well, you know, it wasn't unusual at that time for me because I didn't know any better because I was a youngster. But since you know, since you don't see sisters, since when I got older and became an adult, I never seen a sister doing that. But Sister Garrett, that's what her name, she would get up there, and this is like early 60s, 62, 61, 63. She would get up on the platform and give us our financial statement.
Yeah. Back at that time, you mentioned the congregation servant, and they had an assistant congregation servant, and they had a person who was called a Bible study servant. And those are the three brothers. Those three brothers made up the committee. They handled all judicial cases. They did everything, but it was a congregation overseer and the other two brothers. Yeah, and sisters did a lot. My mother was a book study conductor. My father was not a witness. You know, they got married before she became a witness, but she was our book study conductor for a couple of years. And there were other sisters who were book study conductors because they didn't have enough male members. That's all I wanted to say. But your name was Philip.
Yes.
You said a lot of the things that I can remember as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll tell you something interesting.
Excuse me 1 second. This is Rick. This is Rick Ferrin, the 6 Screens. Can you hear me, Stefan?
Yes, I can.
We're having some trouble. Eric, we're having problems here with Eric coming back on.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Hear me? Put your thumb up.
Can you? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You, Eric, for some reason again. Yeah, we cannot hear Eric. We got probably 5 minutes, and we're gonna wrap this up. So let's keep that in mind. So 5 minutes, this program will be ending. Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to say something funny. I just learned from a current witness who's, I guess, an ex-friend of mine now. He was telling me that there's a hall on the south side of Chicago that's predominantly Hispanic, but that the sisters, they do a lot of the work there that the brothers would typically do, like carry the mics, the stage, and the sound, because they don't have enough males to help out. I was just kind of shocked by that.
I remember in the 90s, I had been at Bethel mid to late 80s, but in the 90s, I was, you know, in the congregation, and I was the presiding overseer, and they had, you know, the congregation was going out every day of the week, and it was always, there weren't enough brothers, so, you know, I went back to that old stuff I knew as a kid, and I said, well, we can have sisters to take the group out, and during the week. And so there were several sisters assigned to take the group out, and within a month's time, they all found other things to do during still services. they stopped going out, their schedules changed. So
yeah.
So I had that happen to me because I got baptized at 13, and so during the summer months when school was out, I, you know, kicked up my field service time. Well, what I walked into.
Hi everyone. I'm not interrupting. I don't mean to interrupt here, but I'm finally back. I don't know what happened on my end. This is Eric.
And we were talking, and we didn't realize that we couldn't hear you.
Everyone on YouTube could hear me. Everyone on YouTube could hear me, but you guys couldn't hear me, so it was confusing.
Yeah. I'll tell you something else, Eric.
it seems to me that if you are a caller, like I'm working right now, so I'm not on YouTube. No,
my phone doesn't like video conference. I have the same problem when I do FaceTime or whatever it is, like with the doctors or whatever. I always have a hard time with it. I need to get a laptop.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if you call in, I'm noticing if you call in, it seems like the volume is naturally louder. And like,
yeah, it is. Everything's better when I call in. My phone can't handle it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I know Rick likes to see the face. My wife told me that the quality of the show went down like when I switched to live stream, because I'm doing it over a Motorola phone. You know, it's a nice one, but still, it doesn't do well with live stream. It never has. It's like even like just video facing somebody. It doesn't work. But you know, I thought we had some good conversations tonight, and one thing I wanted to leave with, because Rick's getting tired, he's got to do a show tomorrow, was that with everything that I brought up tonight, I think we're going to have a massive leak or a massive amount of people just leaving Watchtower, and families and friends and all kinds of people. And it's not going to be easy just to be like automatically forgive for some people, because I understand Watchtower has done so much damage that, like, I'll just give my instance for an example. When I was in the hospital bleeding internally and I possibly needed a blood transfusion because my levels were getting really low. And, you know, no family member would pick up because I'm labeled as an apostate. And it's just, even if the organization breaks, I'm imagining that people like me, I don't know where I'm going to stand with my family. I'll forgive them eventually, but there's going to be some conversations. You know, it's not, I realize that it's not going to be just that easy for everyone just to let each other in, because that's how bad Watchtower has hurt everybody through this. And I wanted to conclude with that, with what we were talking about.
I agree. But you know, they're going to try to
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
I was thinking about that couple that Watchtower interviewed in the meeting. They paraded this poor couple out, and I think the husband was 100 or in excess of 100, and the wife was 95. I don't know if anybody saw that. And so, you know, I wouldn't want somebody like that waking up realizing that they spent their whole life basically on the line. So there's certain people I don't want to hope never wake up. I just couldn't. I don't know. They would probably kill them, you know.
Someone in the comment section says, "I won't be forgiving my parents. No chance." That's proving my point. I'm not condoning it, because I feel the same way this gentleman does too. I'll forgive them eventually, but man, forgiveness comes with repentance. You have to be sorry for what you did. My parents were extremely physically and mentally abusive, so like I need to show that they've changed, you know. And I think I know it sounds harsh, and the Bible just is like forgive, but you know, or Christianity teaches that at least, but it's deeper than that. We need to heal. Watchtower did a number on all of us. They created.
I'm going to interrupt right now, Eric, if I can.
Go ahead.
Sorry, but I'm interrupting because
no, it's fine.
What you have to do is remember and put yourself in their place. When you were indoctrinated, you would have done the same thing.
Well, that's the thing, brother. I'm not. No. That's the thing. That's the thing. I'm not from the same fold, because I didn't follow the rules. I didn't disfellowship people like that. I had a neighbor that was disfellowshipped, and I treated her like she was my neighbor. I had a man that I worked with, and he said, "Oh, you're not going to like me." And I said, "Why is that?" He's like, "Because you're a Jehovah's Witness and I'm disfellowshipped." And I said, "I don't care. We work together." And I treated him like my brother. And you know what? This man saw that I was weak in my auto body trade as a painter, and he taught me a few tricks. And he asked me, "Eric, do you pray to the Lord every day to bless your hands for the work that you do?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you ought to, because you need to improve." And I'm like, "Okay." And this guy taught me, and I ended up painting for some of the finest cars that this world has ever seen. Bentleys,
Maserati, Porsche. I could go on and on. And I owe it to him. And my wife made him a dinner to go when he came to drop me off as we carpooled, because that's the type of person I was. I never fit into Watchtower. That's why I've been in the elders room over 17 times. They don't like me. I never fit. I've been disfellowshipped twice. I do not fit in this organization.
Yeah, well,
yeah. And I was 16 one time. But go ahead.
That's all. And you can't.
Yeah, for sure. I understand.
They think
I agree with you. You remember? Yeah, someone wants to speak. Let's let the brother speak in the background. Oh, I don't know who you're talking about. And Rick, you can hang up on any time. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you remember that video that when they kind of started with these stupid videos, and the daughter was calling the mom, and the mom, who was just washing dishes, refused to take the call. I don't know if you remember that video. It's pretty famous now, or infamous.
What video again? Remind me the video again, brother.
It's some video, and it was trying to make the point that this fellowshipping is just, they're always trying to push this fellowshipping that is wrong.
Oh, that it's biblical. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. There's a video, and so the daughter, and all she did was have a boyfriend. And I even think they got married. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, she called the mom, and the mom refused to answer the call. So this is a Watchtower's way of saying, we can go tell people that we don't shun, but of course this is what we do, and let us show you how to do it. The point that I'm making is I was watching that video at the assembly, watching that video for the very first time. And I said that's myself, I said out loud, I said, because I have a daughter, I said, I would never do that to my daughter. And you should have seen the look that I got when I said that. I said, I don't care. I would never do that. If your daughter's calling you, she could be being chased by somebody, the car could have broken down, and in the video it's clear that she had kids. So that means that these people are grandparents. Maybe she had an auto accident. There could be a multitude of reasons why she called. But it didn't matter to the mom, and that was Watchtower's whole point, was to show you how the proper way of shunning your family. And I'm just like you. I'm cut from a different cloth. And I said right there, as that video was playing at the district convention, I said I would never do that to my kids. I don't care what. If I was an elder, you can take that title, or ministry or servant, or any title, you can shove it. I'm never going to disown my kids for some stupid religion. So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Hey, I just wanted to give a shout out to Brad in Australia. He was trying to get through. If you want to call in, man, I'm still here. I know I got interrupted. He said he had a good comment. Thanks everybody for calling in. If Rick passed out, that's great. I don't mind keeping it going and all of this talking. It's good for all of us to heal from the Watchtower. It's good for all of us to talk about it. The title of the show, The Awakening of the Watchtower, is because I feel like there's an awakening coming in, and so is Daniel. Daniel's under the weather, and he's not doing so well right now. And he's in my, I don't necessarily believe in prayer, but I like that it works. But he's in my thoughts and my concerns. And some people think I'm agnostic because I say that I'm not. I am a Christian. I don't think that God works like that right now. I think we're in the dark ages. I'm a different type of person. Don't forgive me for my stupid views. But anyways, let me look in the comment section and see if anybody wants to talk. YouTube is this is Rick Barron. Yes, he's ending the telephone line. So this is it, guys.
Eric, hold on, Eric. I'm not ending. I'm ending the YouTube feed. But if people want to listen in on the telephone line, you guys can talk all night if you want. But the YouTube is ending in just about a minute or so. But anyone who wants to listen in the telephone line, they can do so. Okay?
If I can leave a concluding comment before you go, Rick.
Well, it's not up to me. I mean, if you want to continue your program.
No. Before you go, I would like to say something to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for thank you for all that you do. You burn yourself out exposing Watchtower. It doesn't go unnoticed, and you're tired, and we all know that. Thank you so much for giving us a community, a place to heal. You have a passion and a desire and a little bit of anger, and that's okay, towards Watchtower. And you, even with you wanting to do the convention, you're proving to be a very good spiritual man, somebody who, and you accept all people. You're a great brother, and I'm happy to be a part of your community.
Well, I appreciate it, Eric. Yeah, no, not trying to be the Grinch here, but what it is, I've been up, well, 4 o'clock this morning. I started.
Oh, dude, you got to go to bed. You're human.
I've got
you're stronger than I can.
I've got a number of programs. In fact, today, which is Sunday, coming up. So we've got 6 screens Sunday. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort. I've got 5 different programs that I work on.
Oh, of course.
So it takes a lot. So that's why we kind of ended the all-night programs. I just couldn't do it. It was just too much.
Absolutely, I understand. I understand, my friend.
All right.
You
So
know,
we are.
you can only do so much. We appreciate the sacrifices that you
Yeah. So we are ending the stream here on YouTube. But if you want to listen into the program will go all night long. If you guys want to keep it going on the telephone line, that's fine. Our radio network.
I'll keep it going until people stop talking.
All right. All right. All right, Eric. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening in tonight. So YouTube's ending, but if you want to dial into the program, dial 727-731-6701. And you'll be able to listen to the people talking on we call it our radio telephone network. And if you want to speak up, you hit *6 to unmute you. So join them in there. They're still in there talking. So go ahead and do that. Thank you, Debbie, for wishing Susan the best. And thank you all for coming in tonight to the 6th screen to the Watchtower.
I wish the best to Susan, too. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
We love you.
Yep.
We love you both.
Thank you.